Live from California, we welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where tonight we get set to go racing once again for 2 hours and 40 minutes for Course de Monterey. This is round number 4 of the VSCA Sports Car Championship. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the show. My name is Ola Rebel alongside Austin Edstrom. We are bringing you all of the action here tonight from this 2 hour and 40 minute sprint race, or race 2 of 5 of the sprint championship and 4 of 10 in the overall championship. Awesome, we were just talking about some of the tricks and challenges of this racetrack and how exciting this track was the first time this championship swung out there a few years ago. We're expecting a big firestorm of a show here tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got 53 different drivers. Sorry, well, more drivers than that, but 53 different cars out here, I should say. And this is a very, very tight racetrack and a very short road course compared to what we have been driving on so far. We've been to Daytona, we've been to Long Beach, and we've been to Sebring. Laguna Seca, way shorter, way tighter. Look at all of the dirt and gravel on the outside of the racetrack. Very easy to dip 2 tires onto the outside and just push your car out wide and lose a ton of time. Love road courses that punish drivers for making mistakes.
You take a look at some of the point standings entering this race tonight. Mayor Sinisby before was with a great showing out at Sebring last month. Really started to reel that gap in. It's down to just 29 points between themselves and HAC Racing for the GTP points lead. It's going to be big, I think, for this for your main class here of the weekend. And then, of course, LMP2, Gowan Racing, after some post-race penalties, they end up taking 3 points races in a row, 4 in a row total if you count the Roar. And they still only sit, what is that, like 45 points above Rise and Panda Racing? But they have clearly been proving themselves to, sorry, no, this is Gowan Racing, my apologies, who did not win at Sebring. I think you Screeching Moose Motorsports already jumping down to GTM. But again, you can tell Gowan Racing with their 2 back-to-back wins, of course, that run was upset at Sebring. But they still have that points lead, showing they had the buffer to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. You're confusing me there for a second. I was like, man, we've got 2 4-time winners in here. I can't believe it. But no, the Gowan Racing has not won every race, but they've done great. I mean, 47-point gap to Rising Panda Racing this early in the season. Pretty decent gap up there, but a little bit bigger gap for the GT Pro field with Fisher Motorsports number 84 being, 127 points ahead of Kinetic Racing?
Good math. I wasn't going to get that one.
Well, you say good math. I'm going to have to pull out my calculator to make sure. That is the point difference. There we go. So 127 points between Fisher Motorsport and Kinetic Racing, and then only 10-point gap to the second Fisher Motorsport entry in the GT Pro field.
You can tell it's been a good year for Fisher Motorsports with 2 of their cars sitting in the top 3 in the points. Although there are some drivers like DS Racing Esports Team and GAC Racing Esports, along with RPM, that are looking to try to see if they can't close in the gap as well further in the season. And then, of course, we get to GTM, where Screeching Moose Motorsports this time, I'm actually correct, have won 4 races in a row, 3 of them being points races. And again, over 100 points clear of Digital Chicane. Firestorm Motorsport runs in 3rd, but SMM, they have proven to be the guys to beat in GTM. They got some trouble with 12 hours of Sebring, showing that they are not invulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely, but at the end of the day, not invulnerable, but Screeching Moose Motorsports are acting like it so far this season, winning all 4 of the races so far. Didn't win it on the racetrack at Sebring, but due to some penalties where I believe it was Digital Chicane's number 80 that they came together with, who ended up going through and winning on the racetrack. That number 80 entry ended up getting a penalty, and unfortunately for them, that bumped Screeching Moose Motorsports up to the top step. But at the end of the day, just a 119-point gap between the 2, and I'm honestly kind of surprised that it's that small between those 2 teams, as Screeching Moose Motorsports has won all 4 races so far.
Well, that's what happens when you don't get yourself with the best of runs over at the 12 hours of Sebring, right? So we'll see how that could mean for their championship going forward. But take a look at that weather, right? We're going to be racing into the evening here. 26 degrees Celsius down on the racetrack, 19 degrees Celsius in the air, and it is just shy of 5 o'clock p.m. in Sim. The expected sunset time will be just around when that checkered flag falls, so we could be seeing those headlights ticking on before this race is over.
Yeah, we might get a little bit of running in the darkness, but we probably won't get any rain running. Unfortunately, we have rolled 0% for the rain, unlike Sebring. Sebring, we rolled about 45, 50%. We ended up getting a little bit of rain about 9 hours into that thing. Unfortunately, here in the, it looks pretty daggum dry out there, so I'm not surprised that we're not getting any rain, but I am a little upset.
Well, with all that said and done, you've got qualifying that is just wrapped up. Let's take a rundown of your starting grid here this evening. Started on the pole for GTP, it's Nicholas Pedersen for Mayor Simspeed Performance. Composite Performance is down beside them on the front row, with HAC Racing in third and Fisher Motorsports down in fourth. Team Hardcore brings it up in fifth with Trading Paints Racing in sixth. Bravo Snow Shaft with their best qualifying effort so far in the season in the Acura, going to be down in the number 7 position alongside DS Racing Esports team in 8th. Stop and Go Racing is 9th, Grizzly Motorsports is 10th. World of Sim Racing is in 11th with DS Racing Esports team to round out the 12-car GTP field.
Starting in the first spot of the LMP2 field will be the Tri-State Racing entry. Second place is going to be Rising Panda Racing. Vice Motorsport and Vision 1 Motorsport round out row number 2 with GSE Esport Racing VSCA LMP starting in 5th and Gowan Racing starting in 6th. Scour starting in the 7th place spot with Texas Speed Sim Racing White in 8th. Fisher Motorsport number 14th and 9th. Tri-State Racing 321 10th. And VRG Sport and FRS Sim Sports round out the 12-car LMP2 field.
GT Pro will head it up with North Sim Racing on the pole for their first pole position on the season, I do believe. Fisher Motorsports is third place points entries in second, with Race for Cat Motorsports also with their best qualifying effort in third. RPM Racing sits in the number 4 spot with Race Tech Competition in 5th. Fisher Motorsports, GC Racing Esports is in 6th with Torture Racing and Fisher Motorsports rounding out the top 8 in GT Pro. That brings it back to Kinetic Racing, World of Sim Racing team, DS Racing Esports team, and Texas Speed Sim Racing to close out your GT Pro field.
All three of those fields had 12 entries each. The GTM has 17 today. Stacked GTM field. Digital Chicane number 93, Digital Chicane number 80. Starting in the front row, Real Pixel Motorsport in 3rd, Vulture Motorsports in 4th, and Vulture Motorsports Plus in 5th. Yellow Submarine Squad Sim Lab in 6th, KC Racing 7th, Off in the S's Racing in 8th, MSP number 33 9th, Dangler Performance in the top 10. Screeching Moose Motorsports won all 4 so far. They're starting in 11th. Firestone Motorsport number 29 and 12th, MMT Racing 13th, Full Send Racing 14th, Trading Paints Racing Red 15th, Dog on Web DS Racing in 16th, and the MSP number 34 rounds out the 17-car GTM field and rounds out the entire 53-car VSCA sports car field.
Good show for Digital Chicane, starting 1-2 in GTM. That's a good start for their afternoon. We'll see if that can translate into a win. And they are kind of bundled up here with some of the GT Pro guys, right? But look at this 93 Ferrari. It is starting right now in about 29th overall. That is ahead of 5th place in GT Pro, just on qualifying pace.
Yes, that ends up being a big deal for a couple of these both of the Digital Chicane guys, as they're stuck in the middle of the GT Pro class, not all the way at the back. So not only are they starting, let's see, 5th, Digital Chicane number 93 is starting 5th in the entire GT class. That's very, very impressive out of those guys. And their main competitor, their main rival in the championship, Screeching Moose Motorsports, they're starting way, way, way back in the field. I mean, like 15 positions, 18 positions, I believe, further back than the Digital Chicane number 93 in the GT field. So that's more positions in between them than there are cars in their class.
It's going to be a tough challenge for Screeching Moose Motorsports to overcome that, but they've proven that they are not above adversity before, rebounding after getting involved in a couple of incidents at Sebring. And in fact, at Daytona, remember, taking the win at Daytona after being involved in a few wrecks, included one that took off the front clip. We'll see how all this is going to pan out, though. Your GTP field working through that corkscrew for the final time before we go to Green Flag Racing. Well, give us your final thoughts here then, Austin, because, boy, it's about to get wild.
Oh, is it? I mean, come on. This is going to be awesome. Laguna Seca with all of these sports cars running around at 53 of them around this tiny, tiny road course. It takes a minute and 10 seconds for these GTPs to get around this racetrack. It's going to be fascinating watching these guys race around here for the next 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Pace cars off. We're happy that you joined us here on a Saturday morning as Nicholas Pedersen from Mayor Simspeed Performance works through that final corner and in towards the restart zone. For the VSCA Sports Car Championship, it's go, 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 and course to Monterey. And a good launch from Pedersen, hopping off the line as he fires it up and over the rise, down and in towards turn number 1. For the first time tonight in your GTP and LMP2 fields, fanning out 3 wide, multiple rows back through the opening couple of corners, and looking like we've escaped all clean and green in your GTP and LMP2 fields.
Yeah, as those guys are getting their race started, all the GT Pro and GTM drivers are getting ready. They're ready to come around that final corner and get this thing started. Already a minute on the clock, and they're coming around the final corner. Michelle Velazzi heading up the GT Pro field in that number 69 on the inside. He's going to come down to the green flag and take the start-finish line to kick off their race at Laguna Seca. GTM and GT Pro field both coming down into turn number 2. The Andretti hairpin trying to get through this corner just nice and clean. Still, it's a short race for these guys, but at the end of the day, 2 hours and 40 minutes is still a long time. Just short by comparison over their 24-hour races, but relatively clean throughout the entire GT field through turns 1 and 2, and now back to the front with the GT Pro class, or GTP.
And by the time GTM leaves turn 1, you can see already Pedersen leaving the final corner down the front stretch, really showing just how crucial it is to try to get a good launch off the line. Pedersen will lead lap number 1 to green, while the rest of the field behind him is in hot pursuit, firing down the hill.
Yeah, the back of the GT classes have not even gotten to the corkscrew yet. Like, they're not even close. And the leaders of the GTPs are, they're going to be breathing down their neck really quick. And here we got a battle for that 7th place spot. Meredith, Fergato side by side. Tight between the two, but coming under the bridge, it ends up turning into a battle for 8th as Fergato's getting under pressure from the 278. Oh, a couple of drivers off into the dirt. This is in the GT Pro field, sorry, GT Am field. Is that Klassen's off in the dirt?
Yeah, that's your Daytona 24 winner, and it looks like the the Real Pixel Motorsport Lamborghini going off as well. Ronald Gross having a problem, so a couple of cars, in fact, going around. And we'll try to get a look on what the heck just happened to a few of these drivers. That was Narciso that went off the racetrack, and has he collided with the Lamborghini? There was the hit with the Porsche going off and into the grass, and I think we just saw Ronald Gross being taken out in that mix as well. And we got more problems with the LP2, but we'll cut to that in a moment. There was Ronald Gross getting turned around in the Lamborghini. And he was stopped there for a good long while. Orlando Campos and Kyle Granger still off the racetrack. Ultimate the corkscrew. Holy cow, it's a pile up at the top of the hill.
Oh, that's a huge impact for both of those. The 91, I couldn't quite tell the 48, both into the outside fence coming through the corkscrew. It's going to be a problem area all night. A couple of LMP2 drivers going off.
And then that was 2 different incidents. One of them hopped the curb, and the other one just got into the back of another. And then that was just clumsy from Scowers SS Racing, running over Vice Motorsports and shunting the big time into the barriers, really just making that incident worse than it already was. And we can now have even more problems in your GTP field as Stop and Go Racing tried to lunge up the inside of Bravo. So Shatton got into the side at the Andretti hairpin and spun their machine around, had to back it up into the grass and lost a handful of spots. They're down to 21st overall.
Yeah, I mentioned right off the bat that I thought it was Klassen's off. He's actually not off. He's running in the 4th place at the GTM. I got a little confused with a couple of these paint schemes, but the initial incident was just so confusing between a couple of the GT, I believe it was GT Ams. No, it was GT Pros, or the back half of the GT Pro. It just felt so strange to have that incident through the braking zone. Just people pinching through that little hard, oh, who's this off the racetrack out of the corkscrew as well?
Fisher Motorsports' LMP2 entry going off the road at the corkscrew.
Just kind of all kicking off here. I imagine just through, there's that little right-hand kink, and then down into the left. It might just be all by himself here.
Sure was. Got a little bit of help, but that car was already going around, and then brought that to a stop just off the racing line and was able to flick spin that car back up and around. And oh, the 2 DS Racing Esports cars having problems right in the middle of your GTP field. Were they 4 wide there coming out of turn 1 down to 2?
I don't even, oh man, they're still wrecking back there towards, oh goodness gracious, right before the bridge, down to the inside of the apex there. That's Mora going off the racetrack, getting a little bit of damage as well. Just, I don't even know what to, I mean, it's about 4 wide with 1 in the dirt on one side, 1 in the dirt on the other side, maybe 3 on the racetrack, so it might have been 5 wide, I don't really know.
There was at least 1 car sideways coming through here, and it was Bravo Stowe Shatton getting tipped by MMTQ, and well, not quite 5 wide, but they were 4 with 2 in the gravel, and then Thomas Mora just coming back onto the racetrack, getting sideswiped again by MMTQ and spinning out.
What in the world? I mean, obviously they're a little frustrated with each other, to say the least. I might want to go back and watch that on my own, because that was just so strange between, I mean, they're not even the same class. Why are you bickering between 2 different classes?
Possibly a case of not even understanding where they were. Battle on for second in LMP2. Damian Benke for Vision 1 Motorsports in their first ever start in VSCA. Try to lunge to get around one of those cars. He got another one that's gone off and into the grass. That is Stuart Leslie for off in the SS Racing. But this battle for second heating up, looking like Vision 1 hangs on just for the time being.
Yeah, Venke able to keep a hold of that position in the 11. Got another replay on offer for you here. Coming down into turn number 2, the Andretti hairpin. It's just under braking, perhaps, on that first apex. Just, that's a very, very lazy spin coming through that double left. That's a strange one.
Not uncommon, though, if you take that corner a bit too aggressively. It'll bite you. And, well, it's certainly a bit off in the SS Racing there. Got your battle for the overall race lead, still separated by less than a second as Patrick Fogel and Nicholas Pedersen both try to work their way through GT Pro lap traffic for the first time tonight. It's been intense, though, in this opening 10 minutes, but still no major problems just yet. We'll check back in on the battle for 4th in GT Pro. This is between RPM and GSC Racing Esports. Whoa! The Lamborghini into the back of the Porsche, giving the 911 a good shot to the shorts into the Andretti hairpin.
Yeah, it was a little dirty, not dirty, but a little nudgy going down into turn number 2. Just, I don't know. We're early in this race, and I feel like I've seen more contact than I saw at Martinsville a couple weeks ago in the NASCAR cars. This is crazy. And I know I say this just about every time we do this, but I'm telling you, you give Europeans fenders, and they lose their minds, man.
Be careful what you wish for, right? I mean, we couldn't even get a few safety cars to throw some wrenches into the works here in this one.
Oh, wait, I'm sure we'll get at least more Archie Bargy off the racetrack. Is that second place in the GTM? Orvex off the racetrack, along with I believe that's a GT Pro competitor off as well, Quintana?
Yeah, that was what is now 10th place in GT Pro, getting into it a little bit with one of the GTM digital chicane cars. Again, talk about some intense runs here. Souza goes off the racetrack at the corkscrew. The VSCA Racing Esports GTB Cadillac will get himself back up into the running, but Nicholas Pedersen, fastest lap of the race, a 1:11.53 to start off what I believe will be lap number 7 for your GTP field overall. Just checking on your battle for 3rd here in GTM, because it is also tight with prototype traffic trying to slice through.
And it's just so crazy to me that we're 7 laps into this thing in the GTP field. You know, given the racetracks we've been to so far this year, every lap seems like it's taken about 2 minutes at the other racetracks. Today, just about a minute, and they're going to be logging laps unbelievably quickly, and these guys are going to be dying by the end of their stints. I mean, very, very physical racetrack, and we've seen a lot of physical racing so far, and we've got a little bit more here as the digital chicane number 80 kind of cutting off KC Racing there on the exit of turn number 2 in the Andretti hairpin.
You see just how many cars are trying to slice through. I mean, that's part of your LMP2 field, part of your GTP field. Screechers Motorsports, by the way, already up 9 positions this race, and that Mercedes is making waves early on, up to 6th place in GTM, and only about a second right now off of the top 5. So Luke DeSantos proving that while they may have not had the best qualifying effort, they're not about to be bested in the race.
Well, and more importantly for them, that race car's clean. I mean, they started in the very, very, very back of this pack. We saw how much carnage occurred in the first 10 minutes of this race. They look completely clean. Yeah, you had an off track a couple moments ago, but I don't see any damage on that number 5. So running in P6 right now in the Screeching Moose Motorsports number 5 entry. But I think that they've done a great job at the beginning of this, not only picking up so many positions, but I mean, the nose of that thing looks incredibly clean. And in a 2-hour and 40-minute race, yeah, that's not a lot of time to be able to fix damage, have a caution come out to bring you back up to the field, and then be able to recover like we've been seeing in the 24-hour Daytona, the 12-hour Sebring. This is a sprint race compared to what we're used to.
That's why it's part of the VSCA Sports Car Championships Sprint Championship. Any races,
that would make sense.
Yeah, any races I think under 6 hours fall into the sprint race category, which that's about fair.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to go outside and run for 5.5 hours and call it a sprint, but you know, they can name it whatever they want.
Well, to be fair, they don't have any 5.5-hour races. They have a 6-hour race, a few 6-hour races, in fact. One of them, which will, I think the next one coming up, is in fact going to be the 6 hours of the Glen in June.
Yes! I love that place. I love that racetrack. I'm sorry for the, but man, I love the Glen.
You're a fan of Thunder Valley, are you?
There's something about that racetrack up in upstate New York that it's just one of my favorites, man. I mean, and I'm an oval guy, but the Watkins Glen is at the top of my racetrack list.
You saw it right there. Mayor Sinsky Performance lost out to Firestorm Motorsports. Daniel Aver took that one down the inside of Tamir Alvaga down through turn 6, and that opened up the door for Theo Taylor for Daniel Performance to get through as well. And the reason why they don't open up the door is because MSP lost so much time trying to keep it being run off the racetrack that they opened up the door for that 16 engine to fire right through. And now battles on for third again in GTM. Digital Chicane under fire by Yellow Submarine Squad.
Well, and Digital Chicane had that issue a couple laps ago, the number 80 getting shoved off wide, or having an issue with the GT Pro competitor. I couldn't quite remember what the number was, but it happened a couple laps ago, and now they're able to pick up a spot over the Yellow Submarine Squad, number 531. But I don't know. If I was Orvex, I'd be a little nervy from that beginning. But at the end of the day, he looks relatively calm and composed, even though he's been shoved off the racetrack once already so far today, picking up that spot. And his teammates running in the lead currently. So you know that Digital Chicane group is going to have a ton of speed through the end of this thing.
Taking a look at Stop and Go Racing and Tri-State Racing, they are battling for 18th place overall, but they are not in the same class. And this has got to be infuriating for Thomas Mork, who continues to try to get around Bart Matija in Tri-State Racing just in front of him. As, oh boy, they're going to split the race for Cap Porsche down the inside as the number 12 GTP runner. Tri-State Racing does not let them have this one easily, though. It is worth noting the lap time difference between GTP and LMP2 around here is not crazily different. It's only about a second or two off of each other.
Yeah, that's not a very wide difference. But to be fair, we've been talking about how short this racetrack is, right? So obviously, the shorter the racetrack, the less time disparity you're going to see. But oh man, it's just so tight in so many areas with the faster cars coming through. But to your point, it's still a relatively close distance compared to most racetracks, and so that is going to make it harder to work through the slow traffic whenever you do eventually have to come up and lap them. If you're Nicholas Peterson, if you're anybody at the top of the GT Pro field, Composite Racing. That's less than ideal from the GT AM. Was that Nitro Racing?
That was
MCQ, on the front end of that.
And then that was another weird one. That was DS Racing Esports team that went off into the dirt as well.
I don't know how I read Nitro off the front of that front bumper. I need some glasses. There's not even a Nitro in this league.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Oh, boy.
And here's the battle for ninth with Remy Loge, the LMP2 leader, breaking up the fray as well. Bravo Snow Shatton down 2 positions from their start this race, trying to keep World of Sim Racing one of the big front runners in the 12 Hours of Sebring, and Long Beach winner trying to get up and into the mix as well. You also just had a pass for 6th in your LMP2 field. This is the battle that saw Dumit into the lead of your LMP2 field.
Yeah, down into turn 2 here. The double left-hander, pretty tight getting down into the braking zone. I hate that it's called turn 2, but it is. They're coming around. Oh, a little bit further behind. Yeah, 42 just spins it all out by himself.
Oh, and the MSP Mercedes just got punted as well. That was Baker that just went around in the corkscrew.
Oh.
And again, dangerous place to be stopped. He's going to back that car into the wall. He might be able to get it rolling here.
He's doing about as good of a job as you can do. I mean, that's so tough to do this. I mean, it's against everything that you believe to hold onto that brake pedal.
Did a good job there on waiting for a gap. He was able to get himself back rolling, but that car is wounded. And there was somebody that ran into the back of him, and it wasn't one of his GTM competitors. It may have been. Yeah, I think the Ferrari tipped him.
Oh, yeah. He might not have too much damage on that thing, though. I don't think anybody hit him coming through here. So, honestly, that 34 did a pretty fantastic job getting out of that scenario without having any major damage.
It looked to me there like Taisha tried to let him through,
and then just got into the back end of him.
Yeah.
I agree. That was very strange.
What was that all
Big
about?
credit to the 34 though. I mean, yeah, he didn't need to do that maybe, but he didn't ruin anybody else's race. So a little bit.
Oh,
of
that car's hurt. You see it? Look at how it's crabbing. Yeah. So they were slow off the pace, crabbing that car from some other impact into the wall somewhere, and that is why they got into the back of him. That's a little more understandable, but still not pleasant.
Yeah, you would still hope that maybe they would be on their brake pedal through the middle of the corner to make sure they didn't hit somebody, but to your point, it's very, very difficult to drive a car whenever your steering's off 20 degrees. I mean, I can attest to that. I did it in NIS last night, and I just about wrecked the field doing it. So I don't blame them one bit. It's just that's an unfortunate thing about racing, man. Sometimes you're just unlucky.
Yeah, unlucky indeed. And, well, with all of this going on, this is the battle for the lead in GTM. Since separated by about a third of a second, with the Texas Speed Sim Racing BMW just behind in GT Pro. Thomas Mora having a spin. He was already kind of further down the field. This is 12th place in the GTP field, and just drops it.
He's having a difficult time tonight. At 42, I've seen them go around multiple times.
That's a shame, but we'll see if they can get back into the fray later on. And looking like Vulture Motorsports actually trying to block the GT Pro BMW here down the main straight. They want to keep that car behind them so they don't have someone interrupting their battle for the lead.
It doesn't look like it's going to happen, though, through turn 2 here. He's looking to the inside through the double left. Once you have the position through there, it's kind of tough to defend it until you get down to this turn number 3 if you've kept it side by side, as Vulture Motorsports has done. And then you got the 2 right-handers back-to-back that kind of put you in the better scenario. So if you can keep it around the outside through turns 2, you can give yourself a really good opportunity to keep the spot through the next couple corners. Oh, but that was a little tight as the GTP coming through just about got into the back of Vulture Motorsports there.
Not to mention, look at how much time he's lost trying to keep this BMW behind him as well. He's lost over a second up to Vulture Motorsports. It makes you wonder, right? Would it have been worth it to just let him through, sit in the draft, and let him pull you up to digital chicane?
I feel like that would be the better bet. Maybe they just they don't have much faith in the GT Pro behind them. Maybe they don't recognize them as being stupid quick, so they don't think that they'll be able to run them down. I mean, I guess if the pace is pretty similar, you don't want them potentially holding you up if they make a mistake. So, yeah, you're not racing them for position or for points or anything, but if they're going to be running the same pace as you, I can understand not wanting to get out of the way.
We check up on the battle for third in your overall. This is overall P3. This is Patrick Vogel trying to keep Christophe DeMay at bay. So Fisher Motorsports and HAC Racing continuing to duke it out as they run through turn 3 underneath the Firestone Bridge. And closing in on the Fisher Motorsports sister car. And you saw how quickly that 44 car pulled over to the right. Did not want to have anything to do with that GTP battle.
Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? It's so hard to get out of the way here, though. I feel like there's so many tight corners. I mean, this one they're going through right now. Could you imagine being a GTP catching up to a GTM right there? Heck no. I would be dying coming out of that corner. There's, absolutely no chance. And then the corkscrew right after it. Also a terrible place for a faster car to try to overtake or to catch a slower class car. So there's a lot of trouble parts on this racetrack that I think are going to catch some people out throughout the course of this race, especially whenever we get to, maybe in the middle part of this where we start getting a little bit of a lull, or you kind of get lulled into that sense of security where you're just kind of logging laps and you found a rhythm. All of a sudden you pull up to a GT-AM going through the corkscrew in a GTP car, and you just might not be ready for it.
Tri-State Racing with some team orders there. Barb Machichan making the pass on Garrett Spence as both Tri-State Racing cars going for a position swap for 6th place. Interesting. It's a bit early, I think, to be making those kinds of calls, but evidently they think the 123 is the faster car and needs to have that clean air. And I mean, considering how much he's opened up a 1.4 second gap, it's hard to blame him. But again, look at Tri-State Racing. Now they're trying to keep Texas Speed behind at the other LMP2. So right now, Garrett Spence playing rear gunner support for their sister team up the road.
Yeah, I think that might be what we were seeing the switcheroo for. Maybe that 320, maybe the 123 was just under a little bit too much pressure from Texas Speed Sim, and they probably just a little bit quicker than the 321. And I mean, you say it's early, but you got to think about it. This is pretty late compared to in terms of how much time is left. If you were looking at it as like a 24-hour race, right? So I know it's not, but what these guys are used to, you come down to about 2 hours remaining, and it's time to go, right? So I think that we might just kind of see the intensity be ratcheted up the entire time tonight. Got to make those calls quick.
Yeah, and well, that's not going to be the best ideal there, as Dangler Performance just taking their line. And look at how much time they've lost now to Texas Speed. But how about that? Tri-State Racing using Dangler Performance as a pick to keep that 30 LMP2 behind. This is a good fight they got going on here. I'm very curious to see how this is all going to pan on out as the 321 and the 30 continue to ebb and flow ever so carefully in their own little gaps.
Yeah, and it's allowed the 123 to skate away by 3 seconds, by the way. It's only been a lap since they swapped him around, and he's already got a 3-second gap to him. So I mean, it's proven to be the right call so far. We'll just have to wait and see if Tri-State Racing 321 can hold on to the 7th place spot, though, and continue to drop that number 30 back off the back bumper of the 123.
Got a pretty big cluster of cars in GT Pro/AM, and I mean, you take a look at the Hornet stats here. This has got a lot of GTP and LMP2 traffic trying to slice through as well. This is right now from 4th in your GT Pro field on back to, so we're looking at 26th back to 34th in overall positioning, all in one giant train with lap traffic trying to get through as well. This is right now where we're going to see, I think, a big incident coming in if we're going to get one.
I mean, just all the cars that we were seeing between turns 5 and 6 there. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And now all on the same straightaway, coming down into the corkscrew, down into the little kink of 7, into the corkscrew of 8, and then down into rainy curve of 9. This long sweeping left-hander. Oh, into the faster cars just coming through. Also, you're just seeing the big traffic clusters are going to be very, very predominant here today. I really just believe that we're going to see that time and time again. Just the racetrack is so short, it's so narrow. It's going to be so tough for these guys to stay away from each other all night.
And this was the pass with the GTM lead in the corkscrew. Digital chicane overshot. And Vulture Motorsports said, thank you very much. We'll take the lead.
And we were talking earlier about Vulture Motorsports holding up a GT Pro competitor. Well, it's a good thing they did because they were just able to take the race lead. I imagine if they got held up by that GT Pro or they had given the position to the GT Pro, they would have been a little bit too far behind to take advantage of the 93 making that mistake. Now they've taken the race lead and they pulled a 3-second gap out to both digital chicane entries.
Here's the World of Sim Racing Team's GTP entry. Edgar Estefania in pit road, and he has been in there for a bit. 31 seconds and counting. That's not uncommon in these cars. Remember, the pit stops are quite more lengthy than what we usually see in stock car racing, which is of course the norm on this channel. But it's that is a very early pit stop, right? I mean, you've seen the LMP2s come in about what, 30-40 minutes in their stints. GTP's about 10 minutes later. We're just over 20 minutes deep into this race. That is extremely early.
So I'm trying to think of this, right? You said the LMP2s. Well, that was a GTP. How long did the GTPs normally last?
From what I've seen, usually about 45 to 50 minutes-ish.
Well, I do remember, being the NASCAR guy I am, I remember before stages, you would run road courses backwards. So perhaps that is what we're seeing out of the 51 of Estefania. What you would do is you would pretend that you're starting at the back end, and that would be your long stint. So from 0 minutes left on the clock to 40 minutes left on the clock at the very end of this race, you would run that all the way green and all the way out. But it shortens up your first stint, and you just start your pit stops a little bit earlier. Perhaps that is what we're seeing from the 51. I'd have to do the math on the fuel timing charts, but I wouldn't be too surprised. But I think he's still in pit road, and I think that might be a little bit too long.
Yeah, that's a minute 48 now plus. That is way longer than any pit stop should ever take. So that's either damage repairs or a penalty, or they've decided to call it quits really early in this race. But you got FRS Sim Sports now under fire from Tri-State Racing in the 123. And this is the battle for the top 5 in LMP2.
Yeah, coming down to the corkscrew, the trouble spot, missing the apex just a little bit of tire smoke coming down into the second apex there, the tight right-hander, giving up a little bit of time to the Tri-State Racing number 123. We were mentioning earlier, the 123, 321 swapped positions not too long ago. Now 4-second gap in between both those guys. The 321 has drugged the 30 back, and now the 123 going on a move to the inside of the 621. Not quite able to do it through the final corner. Back onto the front straightaway. He's got the draft all the way down the front into the kink of 1 and into the Andretti hairpin of 2. But he might just be a little bit too far back to make a move.
Julia Cervone having a problem as well in your GTM field. This is MMTQ. Sorry, no, this is Trading Paints Racing down to the turn 1. And again, just drops it all by themselves with that lazy spin on the entrance. It's that lack of downforce, right? The fact that you're turning into a very tight corner. One of the tightest corners on the racetrack on a downhill braking zone. It's going to unsettle these very aero-dependent cars.
Nolan, I know that you hate kinks being labeled as turns, but that's turn 2, buddy. Turn 1 is the slightest. I knew it. I hate whenever the first braking zone isn't turn 1. I know. I hate whenever the first braking zone isn't turn 1. It throws me off so bad.
That is a hill I will die on any day of the week.
Do you want me to bring up Sonoma again?
Oh, please no.
Both of these are California tracks, so we can talk about it. They don't know how to name their corners in California.
I mean, to be fair, it's not as bad as VAR, where they have turns 13, 13A, 13B, 13D, and 13C in their grand layout. When does it turn 14?
I don't even know. Okay, well, that's fair. I don't know what the heck that's about, but I'm glad I've never seen that racetrack, or else I'd be a little irritated.
You're going to see it later in the season. We're going there.
Oh,
We're not going to that layout, but we are going to the track.
I'm getting sick that week.
You better not.
I'm calling out right now.
It's a 2-hour, 40-minute sprint race.
Oh, okay, fair. Well.
The fight still rages on for 5th in your LMP2 field. Again, checking in on this big cluster in GT Pro on back with guys like Andre Quintana for World of Sim Racing Team trying to close out the race tech competition in Texas Speed Sim Racing. You got North Sim Racing in here as well. So a 4-way battle for 7 in the GT Pro, and all 4 cars separated by less than a second.
Yeah, pretty tight, even though we are 27 minutes into this thing. Still seeing 4 guys back to back to back, all battling for the 7th place spot. Coming down into turn number 5. And then down into the quick left-hander of 6. I mean, just tucked up behind somebody, I feel like this left-hander of 6 is so difficult. You can hit that little sausage curve on the inside, shoot you out wide. You completely miss the apex and shoot yourself out wide. I don't know. I feel like that's going to be a more trouble spot later on in the race. I'm surprised we haven't seen many issues through there so far.
I'm a little bit surprised as well, Frank, that we haven't seen too many people getting in there throughout the course of this afternoon. But for now, well, we'll be seeing these guys continue to go to work. 8th, 9th, and 10th, all tucked together. Texas Speed Sim Racing started to pull away on that BMW up the roads. This is really turning more into a 3-car scrap for 8th at this point in time, as got an Audi, BMW, and a Porsche. 3 different German manufacturers, all trying to gun it down into that opening corner. The opening braking zone corner.
I was waiting because I knew there was gonna be something a little bit more into there. The first braking zone is what we should call it. We should just call it braking zone 1. Train paints.
Going around
Train
again.
paints through acceleration zone 2. Looping
I think that's
it, unfortunately.
Zone 3 at that point.
No, what?
Yeah, the pit straight. Does that not count? You're accelerating.
Well, no, because that would be at the end of the last lap. So that would be the last acceleration zone.
This is why we're not in charge of corner numbering. we
would still do it better than Sonoma. We would still do it better than Sonoma.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No, not again.
Yeah, that time at turn 6.
Well, I'm happy it happened in 6. It's making me feel, like I was correct about it being a trouble spot, but this is not exactly what I was thinking. I was not thinking way off the pace.
Okay, so that wasn't even a spin. They're just trying to get out of the way.
Okay, that's fair. But hey, smart move. I like that.
Yeah, fair enough, right? I mean, take the 1X instead of a 4X and a race ruined, right?
Yeah, you can't go 40 miles an hour off pace through that corner, or else it would have been the trouble spot, like I said. I mean, that could have been huge. So respect to them for pulling off the racetrack like that. That's a very noble move. We're looking at this battle for the 4th place position, down to the first braking zone. Oh man, late into the braking zone, goes to 84, just about tags the GSC Racing Esports car around. He did tap the left rear bumper just a little bit, but maybe a little bit of flash of the lights to show some displeasure, but it just felt like a late move from Fisher Motorsport. I didn't really think GSC did anything wrong.
That was interesting there, but well, they kept it clean, and a good save from the Audi there to keep it up in front, but that's dragged Kinetic Racing back into this frame, making it now 4th, 5th, and 6th, all tucked up in a line with DS Racing Esports Cadillac trying to fight through as well. And like you mentioned, can't go side by side through there, as Cattle will try to blitz by them both up the hill, and looking like the Porsche tried to see if he can make a move as well. Couldn't get it done though, up into the corkscrew.
Dude, it just takes so much patience through turn 6 if you're in a GTP. Like, if you're in a GTP or an LMP2 and you are coming up to turn 6 in that long line of GT Pros and GT AMs, I mean, you know you can just fly by the guys, and you feel like you should just dive into that corner and take the position, but it's one groove. You've just got to find a hole in line and slide through. Credit to them for doing that the last time by, but man, it's just, I don't know if I have that level of patience.
And oh boy, trying to get around a Porsche 3 wide for the battle for the LMP2 lead. Rising Panda and GSC Racing Esports getting real argy-bargy with one another. That was great use of a lap car though from Rising Panda to keep them up in the race lead of LMP2, and they are trying to pick off this lap traffic quickly to put as many cars between themselves and that 86 machine as possible. But having a Porsche 963 getting into the mix will be a big help to Rising Panda, at least temporarily. Well, maybe not here, though, as they again go 3 wide around a Mercedes, and Screech Moves not too happy with that one.
I think we're going to be seeing headlights flashing this entire time, and it's already starting to get dark, I got to point out. I know on your broadcast it doesn't look too terribly dark, but you're starting to see the lights. The lights are flickering on these race cars. But on my iRacing end, it looks like it's like the sun's coming down right now. I mean, it's going to be dark by the end of this thing.
Oh, I do love changing daylight times in a race. It does make it interesting, doesn't it? It keeps you on your toes. Kevin Mueller having a little off in the Audi for 4th.
Oh, that's the sausage curve I was talking to you about. All you got to do is tap it, and you're going off. But I think in the slower cars, the GTM and the GT Pro, it's still a little bit more forgiving. It'll tap you off the racetrack, and you'll go 4 wheels into the dirt like you just saw. But I feel like in the GTP or the LMP2, if you tap that sausage curb, I think it's going to be a lot more dramatic, and you could find yourself into the fence on the outside.
That turn 6 curb, I mean, it's not to be trifled with, and particularly, I remember a story back when I was running a Ford Mustang in the production car challenge when we were over here. I hit that curb with so much force that it broke the oil pan and gave me a meatball flag. That curb can mess your day up if you hit it wrong.
Goodness gracious! I mean, I couldn't even
off the track.
I'd be so hard pressed if that happened to me in a race. I'd be feeling so bad, man. I mean, it's weird that a sausage curb could do that to you in a simulator. You would think that wouldn't even be a possibility, but hey, that just means that they got it pretty close to real life, right?
That's what happened in the real world.
We need to take the F3 cars to Monza and see if we can make one go airborne like what happened like 5 years ago.
Well,
see if we can do a little twisty twirly.
Anymore, so I don't think you can. And there is Leslie, speaking of sausage curbs, going into the wall, courtesy of running over one for off of the SS Racing.
Well, that's a pretty, I guess the name fits for that one. It wasn't in the S's, but it was off in something in the barrier. I guess maybe we should change it to off in the barrier racing, but back up towards the front. Wow, they're going to hate me for that, but up at the front of the GTB field, Nicholas Peterson still leading the way over Patrick Vogel, and these guys haven't separated probably from over 1.5 seconds. I've seen Vogel drop to about that gap back off of the number 3, and then he'll pick it back up to about half a second, and then it falls back to about 1.2. It's just kind of modulating within that range, and I mean, it's all because of these lap cars that we're seeing, right? The number 3 gets through a couple of them better, and then the number 15 gets through the next group of them better, and it's just a little bit of an accordion effect so far during the beginning part of this race. But we are almost 35 minutes in. Oh, that's going to be a bigger than 1.5 second gap. It's a 15, just about lost it. The pit stop should be coming up for these guys in about 10 minutes.
That was a snap from Composite Performance. What a job to hang on to that. Take a look on board here with Composite Performance, and we'll have to speed this up a little bit to get to the point, because this was the next closest incident we had to that. But I mean, you can see them really trying to challenge MSP all the way down the straight, and I say that as well. Robert Lancaster for RBM Racing is off in the gravel as well, so we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But I mean, take a look at this here as they're coming around through, I believe this will be turn 4. And look at the wheel work.
Curb. He got the curb again. He got the sausage curb on the inside.
That was
He touched a little red curb on the right side tires, man. It's crazy how abrasive, or not abrasive, but just how much those curbs throw these cars around.
That was well held, though. And then, RPM just driving into the side of World of Sim Racing Cadillac and spinning them off into the grass. And he was stopped for a while because, again, blind corner, you got to wait.
Both of our main Porsche competitors from the Daytona 24, the two that were fighting for the race to win at the end of that thing, both going off in the corkscrew over the first 35 minutes of this event.
And one of the GTMs has just been spun around. This is, again, one of the Ferraris for DS Racing Esports team in the final corner. Caught that curb again and just picked it up on the
Oh, man. Oh, who is this? Somebody who's spinning all the way back towards the exit of turn number 4.
Would it be Ericsson?
Jordan Erickson, yeah.
And into the wall. It's all kicking off all of a sudden.
Yeah, I'm seeing him coming around 5. I don't see a lot of damage on him, but the way that that car was twitching coming out of 5, there might be a little bit of suspension damage that I can't quite see. Kind of jump into his cockpit right here. His wheel looks pretty okay, but he was struggling after that bit of contact.
May have been trying to just get the heat back up into the tires, right? You can lose a lot of that temperature when you go spinning off into the gravel, and you lose a lot of that temperature that the track holds, especially with the sun going down. But yeah, looking like he's fine, not coming into the pit road, so making his way back out onto the racetrack. Battle for second again in LMP2. He's on. GSC Racing to the inside of Vision Motorsports. And they're going to be through this time. Vision One Motorsports will drop to third. A good showing, though, from a brand new team.
Yeah, doing a great job so far. I hate to change the subject, but well,
there we
definitely
go.
changing the subject as the yellow flag's coming out. But I think that came at a perfect time for the 15 of Patrick Vogel, because I think he had compounded that first mistake that we saw with another one for the number 15 composite performance machine. They fell off another 2 seconds after that issue. So I don't know quite what happened to Vogel after the initial issue, but he has completely dropped off the back of the MSP number 3, and this caution came out at the perfect time for him.
So, first yellow flag period of the afternoon, and there's a lot of lap traffic. So this could be an extended yellow flag as well. I'm anticipating minimum 15 minutes probably, possibly 20 plus, depending on how long it takes to wave all of the lap traffic around. Right now, there's only 13 cars total on the lead lap in a 53-car field.
Oof. Yeah, not too many, but not too surprising, right? It only takes the GTP leaders a minute 10, minute 11 seconds to get around this place. So, I mean, you're going to lap every single GTM and every single GT Pro car within, well, they're 10 seconds a lap faster. And with there being 7-second brackets in that, yeah, it'll probably take about 7 laps to lap every single GT Pro and every single GTM. So not too surprising we're going to see a lot of wave rounds here tonight.
Nicholas Pedersen will pick up the tail end of the iRacing pace car. So before, I guess this is actually a great point to bring up minimum drive times. For two-man teams, it is required that each driver has to drive a minimum of 40 minutes. And then if you have a third person on your team, there is no requirement for a third person's drive time. But, you do have to now wonder, right? I mean, we're what, 2 minutes away from the 40-minute mark? If pit road opens at an opportune time, this would be a great time to get that second driver in the car under caution.
Yeah, that is a good point. We need to go another, minute and a half to get the minimum time, because we did start with 2:40.
And I don't think they're opening pit road this time. They do a whole round of wave rounds before that. Yeah,
and if we're taking 1 lap in 1 minute and 10 seconds, and we're not even to the start finish line yet, we will absolutely, as long as they don't have to pit this lap, we will absolutely get to that minimum by the time we come around next time by. I think it'll be probably a minute 58, 30 or so remaining by the time we come around next time. So I do think everybody's going to be able to come down and switch drivers if they feel like it. But I do think that a lot of these guys are probably content with leaving their guys in right now. I mean, if you're the MSP number 3 up top, or anybody leading any of these fields, do you really want to pull out your guy that's been leading the field or leading the race the entire time?
I mean, remember, you add a few seconds on when you switch drivers, right? Those few seconds could be invaluable during a green flag run. I think what you would do now, right? Yeah, you'd put that other guy into the car now under caution, where you don't have to waste those precious seconds on the racetrack, because you're going to be bunched up anyway. I don't see any downside to getting the other guy in the car now. You can meet those minimum drive times, then you don't have to worry about it the rest of the race, because we saw that at Long Beach. Some drivers did not meet those minimum drive time requirements because of how the pit stops fell.
And basically the deal is, if you don't do it now, you have to do it under the next one, because by the time you come down pit road again, it would probably
you might be into the end.
Yeah, exactly. You might be under 40 minutes to go. Now, obviously, you could short pit and pit with 42 minutes left if you really wanted to, I suppose.
Whoa! That was Bravo Snow Shatton going off in the Acura.
I guess that's why they call it turn 1.
Ay.
I guess things can happen at turn 1 here.
What on
Only under
earth
caution.
was that all about? That's the 4th race in a row we've had some kind of caution incident. And in fact, every race just about we've had a safety car has had a caution, an incident under caution. And it's a straight penalty if they make car-to-car contact. Like, it's usually at least a lap penalty plus 30 seconds.
I have some sympathy for it. Don't get me wrong, you got to pay attention. But I have some sympathy for it in the sense of they are coming over that hill. And there's 53 cars on the racetrack. So there's going to be a huge
right?
stack
I mean, there's an F3 relative.
No,
you have other drivers that can spot for you.
Well,
why are you even going that fast?
How about we look into his cockpit? Let's see the number 50's cockpit on this incident. I want to see what he can see coming over that hill.
Well, trying to track down. We'll track down Daniel Avery first of Firestorm Motorsports. He was the driver that first had that nervy moment coming up. And
I feel like that does come a little bit out of nowhere. I mean, you're right about the relative. I don't have any type of argument against that. Right? You got the relative there, but if you're just looking at your screen, looking over the hill, I don't think you can see anything over that hill. They're just slowing down in the worst place possible.
Well, again, that you have other drivers that are with you, right? It's a team race. You have other drivers that should be calling this stuff out for you. I mean, you're not wrong, right? I mean, it does come completely out of nowhere for Gustavo Frigoto. If Frigoto was on his own, I would completely be fine with putting that as the explanation. But you have at least one other person, if not more. Why are they not telling him about this stuff? You'd think that'd be spotter 101.
That's a very fair point. If you got somebody behind the microphone, not behind the wheel, they probably should be in your ear, at least a little bit under that circumstance. Because what if he did plow into somebody then? I wouldn't really blame the guy in the driver's seat because he couldn't see. And you should have somebody in your ear saying, hey, man, they're checking up into turn number 2. Let's slow it down right on the exit of turn number 1. And then, none of that happens. So you would definitely feel hard done if you were the driver there and plowed into somebody after not seeing and not having a spotter in your ear saying anything and your race being over.
It's a complicated issue, right? I mean, and I think that it does bring up that good discussion, right, about just how much input should they have? Because I know some drivers during these endurance races, they actually prefer to have the iRacing spotter take over much of the whole, car left, car right stuff. They prefer to just have their teammates take a look around, tell them what else is happening on the racetrack. Like, hey, the leader has spun off in this corner. Or we'll pit in this time because they're the ones watching the fuel numbers. I know some teams prefer that. I mean, a team that I spotted for Daytona 24 was the same way. But at the same time, that iRacing spotter does not tell you when cars are checking up under caution.
No. And that's honestly a big detriment to the iRacing spotter. It definitely is a little bothersome. I wish it would let you know whenever the leader catches the pace car and where they've caught the pace car at, so you can at least maybe judge where the checkup could come. But that's just not the case. So you just got to deal with it. But to your point, in these scenarios, you got teammates. You got every opportunity in the world to figure it out and to not run somebody over. But to be fair, we're kind of beating a dead horse with this. He did dodge everybody. He just took it to the grass or to the gravel. Did a great job.
That is a good point.
I got to point out.
Yeah, I will give Frigoto credit there. That could have been a heck of a lot worse, and it was those cat-like reflexes that kept that from being any worse.
Yeah, and you got to think too. I mean, I was talking about the relative. Maybe he was checking fuel boxes. Maybe he was checking tire boxes for the pit stop because we are getting ready for a pit stop. So there's a lot to it. I'm kind of more in what you said about you got teammates. They should be in your ear letting you know.
Well, we are under yellow flag number 1 here tonight. Just under 2 hours to go. We're going to take ourselves a step back. You are watching the VSCA Sports Car Championship on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
welcome back to the VSCA Sports Car Championship live on Green Flag TV. Tonight's race is brought to you by Twin Bush, your expert for automotive workshop equipment located in the North Las Vegas, Nevada. Visit them today or find them online at twinbush.com. Twin Bush, quality that convinces. Well, while we were under caution, we noticed that Fisher Motorsports and one other driver were stranded in pit road along with FRS Sim Sports. This was before everybody came in for pit stops, and well, we were talking about how good of a job Gustavo Frigoto did on the racetrack to avoid a huge pileup. They were one of the cars that got a wave around, and well, that top are going to come up again as they had this moment in the exact same place a lap later.
Yeah, we were talking about how it would have been the biggest accident. Well, yeah, that's huge. I think that caused damage to 2 other vehicles. I think you saw the Vice car go by. I believe they got some decent left rear damage. I mean, that's just, it's huge coming around. And it's pure panic whenever you come over that hill. And
they careened right into the back of FRS Sim Sports. Again, like, why is there nobody calling this stuff out? We could have avoided, this was, it's unnecessary, right? To see something like that. Did Scours get a piece of that too, potentially?
They did in the back end, but I don't think it was like, you know, it's not heavy. I'm trying to go back to see exactly how much difference they've got on the back end.
Daniel Avery, look in the mirror. He's going to see this flying up in this mirror on that camera down there, and then all of a sudden, boom! And all of a sudden you got a car in front of you. I mean, they were lucky to escape that.
Yeah, I'm looking at Granger, the back end of Granger's car, because they're the ones that got hit, and it is bent up a little bit, like the diffuser area of the back end for Kyle Granger and that Scours GT LMP2. It's definitely bent in. So I guess 3 other cars with damage off of that incident. But now looking at Kyle Granger a couple laps later after they've been down pit road, it does look back to its normal spot. So they've definitely fixed all the damage that they had. So I think Scours probably came out of that the best, but they're still 6 laps down.
I think my opinions are quite clear on what I think about all of that.
Yeah, you've made it pretty obvious. You've made it. I definitely understand where you're coming from. You know, I like playing, you know, devil's advocate, benefited it out a little bit because again, we did see the onboard before the caution about how difficult it is coming over that hill to see whenever people are slowed down. But to your point, this is an endurance race. You got teammates. Somebody should probably be telling you. And also, you are under caution, so you shouldn't probably be going race speed regardless, even if you are catching up to the field.
That's the other big thing. Like, it's not like a NASCAR race, right, where you get that one wave run. You have a lap to get up there before you go to green flag racing. I mean, we've been under caution for what, about 20 minutes now. There's no need to rush.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you on that one. I do. And it's tough because it doesn't have anything to do with racing, right? I mean, you're just trying to bide your time. You know, everybody else that's, you know, riding behind the pace cars biding their time, and all of a sudden you hear a freight train coming behind you. I mean, if you live in the southeastern United States, you know that whenever you hear a train coming, you better find shelter because it ain't a train, it's a tornado. And that was about a tornado coming around the turn 1 bend there over that hill.
Right now, Justin Delano from Vulture Motorsports leads the way in this pacing line. We are expecting them to get waved around, though, before we go to green flag racing. And I do believe that will mean that Grizzly Motorsports should be the car that takes us to the green flag, because it is the furthest up class leader in the pacing line, which in this case is Scott Meredith. Elbaga, Nobes, as well as Ware are all a bit further down in this field. It is worth noting that a good chunk of the drivers we have on the racetrack are new into their cars as well.
It's a good point. Now, there are some people that decided to stay in their vehicles. Like we mentioned, our former GTP leader, Peterson, decided to stay in. Fogel stayed in. Did Meredith start the race? Scott Meredith in the number 1. I feel like that might have been a driver change. I'm going to have to go back and look. No, I believe he actually started as well. So, yeah, just kind of surprised that there weren't more driver changes, but there were a couple on offer. Maybe a couple of these teams that started out with their driver that they just wanted to get that 40 minutes done with, and now they've switched it over. So just a little bit of split strategy between a bunch of these teams. Looking forward to seeing how they pan out, because the guys that did not switch drivers will have to give up just a little bit of time under one of their next couple pit stops to switch the driver.
An hour and 42 minutes left to go this time by. Still waiting to see when these lights on the pace car are actually going to go out. They have been looking to be staying on, though, for the last little while. Ryan Ware, fresh into the car. Rising Panda Racing has been on fire today. The 46 car has led every single lap thus far in LMP2. They could, this might very well be their track today.
Yeah, I mean they're they're looking good so far. It's hard to be able to tell you exactly how it's going to go. You mentioned Rising Panda doing so good so far, but they've had a different driver in the whole time, right? They've had Remy Loesch behind the wheel. Well, who's to say Ryan Ware's going to do better or worse or the same? We really have no idea. It's really hard to say this might be their day whenever they can switch drivers like that, and you just really never know which one's got the better pace. Now, if Ryan Ware gets in here and is even faster than Remy, then the rest of the LMP2 field better watch out.
And then, of course, Fisher Motorsports having another phenomenal day. Stefan Nobes into the car, and the number 44 machine still leading the way in the GT Pro field. And then, of course, Tamer El-Baga, I believe, staying in the 33. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but the number 33 Mercedes MSP car back up and into the race lead after being tipped around earlier on, if you remember. Oh, that might have been the other MSP car driven by Aaron Beaver, who is also still on the racetrack, albeit a lap down in the GTM field, and well down Beaver.
Gonna have to check this time if we get the one to go for the iRacing pace car.
We might not find out until halfway through the lap, too, so we'll keep tabs on this closely.
Oh, that's a fair point. My goodness. I guess the shorter racetracks, it becomes a little bit more difficult to get through these caution periods, as it's very difficult for me to get through that sentence. Unfortunately, the Dr. Pepper is not agreeing with my stomach. But up towards the front of the GTM field, low in the 93, we've been seeing some issues with the with a couple of the the digital chicane cars in the GTM class. Orvex had some issues. The 93 went off the racetrack once and gave the lead over to, I believe it was the 016 at the time, Delano. But all of those guys pitted, and El-Baga and Felver, I don't believe did. I think they stayed on the racetrack. I might be wrong about a couple of these guys, but I know that GTM was probably the most split decision at the time, but man, this caution's been so long, I feel like some of them that stayed out are gonna have to come down pit road pretty quick.
That's what my concern was, right? I mean, we knew it was going to be taking them a bit close at the end of the fuel stop window. I don't know why you wouldn't come down unless it really does impact your strategy that much. I mean, we know they can't go to the end. They have to absolutely come down again. I wonder if potentially they're gambling on another safety car coming down later in the game, which could help them cut out that extra pit stop, which is why they're staying out now.
I don't know. El-Baga did come down pit road, so perhaps I'm a little off on that. I'm looking at the digital chicane number 93. I don't know if they did, but they're further back. I'm skipping through the laps, and none of the laps I can see show them coming through. So weird pit strategy.
These guys.
Either iRacing is not giving me the accurate information, or this is the weirdest pit strategy I've seen from a lot of these guys.
Or remember, you have to also keep tabs on the fact, right, that these guys are getting those wave rounds too, which is, and in fact, has been a little bit of an update in the YouTube chat as well. Apparently, there were some wave buys that were issued that should not have been. So it's been an effort to try and correct those mistakes. That's why there's been this little bit of a delay in getting things back underway. But now that we're seeing more cars being waved around the pacing line, that's a good sign. We'll be going back to green flag racing, I would hope, in the next 10 minutes here.
Yeah, now that we're seeing some of these wave rounds, I think you're probably right. And that's probably why I was getting confused with some of these running orders as well, with some of these guys pitting who are somehow ahead of guys that didn't. So I think that we're seeing all that kind of get rectified right now. as we see a lot of guys getting the wave around. I think we saw the Screeching Moose Motorsports number 5 a little bit ago down the front straightaway, getting a wave. So I think we're getting this thing figured out, and we're going to get this thing back under green in no time, I do believe. And I got to say, that first caution, or sorry, not the first caution, but the first start was absolutely hectic. And I know that that's a double file start, and this is going to be a single file coming up to this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see pretty similar chaos coming through the it's hard to say infield section, I suppose, turn 5 and 6, 7, 8, you know, the corkscrew area, all through there with these guys kind of convening on top of each other. It's going to be pretty mental on this first lap.
As it so often is, right?
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, it's tough. You get 53 cars all bunched up in just a very, very tight, confined space, and it's going to be like that. I mean, you think about it this way, right? The GTP cars take 1 minute and 10 seconds to get around this racetrack. Well, there's 53 cars on the racetrack. So doing the math, this isn't approximate, but that means that if the field was perfectly evenly spread out, you'd have a car about every 1.1 to 1.3 seconds on the racetrack. Well, whenever they're all restarting on top of each other, it's a little bit more difficult, right? They're all confined within 20 seconds of each other, and that just makes, obviously, the field way more confined and built up, and you're going to see a lot more accidents, and I think we're going to see that on this restart. It's going to be absolutely hectic.
White still on. Will go at least one more lap, and that's not surprising with the amount of cars getting wave bys here. But if you do like what you're seeing, be sure to like and subscribe today, and visit us on Greenflag TV, and check us out at www.greenflagtv.com to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you. This is also not the only race we've got on today on Greenflag TV. The TNGG IL Truck Series will be swinging out to New Hampshire Motor Speedway later tonight at 7:55 p.m. Eastern Time for the Lobster State 150. And tomorrow night, the SRL Next Gen Cup Series will be down at the Phoenix Raceway at 7:25 p.m. Eastern Time. We slow it down a little bit more as the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series on Monday night has their sixth race of competition at 9 p.m. Eastern, and that'll be down at good old action track, Richmond Raceway. And that, and again, a lot more still coming up. Classic IndyCar Series also making its return next Sunday, and Austin, I hope you'll be with us for that one. Long Beach Street Circuit, going to be a good show. Beer League is off this week for their little off week between seasons. They'll be back for preseason the week after. Then Speed Tires Plus Cup Series back at their own usual time this coming week as well.
Did you say next week for the Classic IndyCar Series?
Yes, next week for the Classic.
I will not be here, buddy. I will be in Talladega getting absolutely sloshed.
Boo! It's Long
Woo!
Beach. You can't miss Long Beach.
I can't miss Talladega.
It's a fair point.
I have a streak going. I've been to 9 in a row, I think. So I can't break that streak at that point. I can't.
Yeah, I feel that.
It's basically a religion at this point. It's well, to be fair, over the course of those 9 races, I've probably been to Talladega more than I've been to church. That's probably not a good thing, but it's I think it's accurate.
Just over an hour and a half remaining. This yellow flag came out with about 2 hours and I think about 5 minutes, just under that, still on the clock. So the minutes racking up, and Scott Meredith has got to be checking those fuel numbers. Remember, these GTPs do not have as big, they don't have as much fuel capabilities as the GTs do. They often come into pit a little bit sooner, so you know Meredith's keeping an eye because he has not yet come down into pit road. And pit road, I believe, is closed now, is it not?
Well, Meredith did pit. I got to point out, he came down.
He came in, but he never stopped in the box, though. I showed that he
what?
came into pit, yeah, I showed he came into pit road, but he never stopped in his box.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go back and look just to make sure. That just makes no sense. I mean, he should be out of gas. He should be out of gas.
Yeah, my time he's telling me he came down to pit road but never stopped. He was only in pit road for 43 seconds. So if you want to confirm that, then
what lap was that on?
I don't even know.
Huh.
Probably around his lap 34. That's when everybody else on the GTP field came down to the pit road.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. This is I could have swore I saw him come down. I'm not even seeing him come down on any of my laps that I can see now. So I'm having
I
some
did see him
iRacing
come.
bugs.
I will say I did see him come into pit road. I did see that.
Yeah.
But I don't recall ever seeing him stop in his box.
My lap 40 for him is blacked out for some reason. Like, I cannot see his lap 40 at all.
I believe, would be a driver change then, would it not? Possibly?
Well,
no, you said lap 40. That doesn't make sense either.
yeah, it would have been too late.
Well, I guess we'll find out on the restart, won't we? Joan
I suppose.
Guerrero has taken a tow to pit road? The race for
Could that be a running out of fuel situation?
Not unclear. I mean, he's slow on the racetrack, but not like that slow. Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
no, this is their second time in a pit road, though. It couldn't be.
What in the heck
The
happened to
car's
them?
still running. What is going on? There's been so much happening under this safety car period that boggles the mind.
I think we're coming to green this lap, though. So
We are. The lights are out.
that's what I like to see. Chaos, carnage, mayhem, havoc. What are we gonna see on this first lap?
Why not a bit of
All
all
the
of
above?
them?
Yeah.
Pace car is off. Scott Meredith with the overall race lead, and Nicholas Pedersen just behind. Gonna jump on the loud pedal. We're back to green flag racing from the WeatherTech Raceway. And that is a launch and a half already clear by almost 2 seconds down the hill and into the corner.
I mean, my goodness. I've never seen that big of a launch from P1 to P2, already stretching out the gap to 1.5 seconds from Meredith to Pedersen. Pedersen maybe caught sleep in there, maybe in the wrong gear. Coming down into the hairpin, though. Couple drivers in the further back of the pack. Almost coming together, but Nobes in the GT Pro leading the field. Velazzi right behind him.
We're taking a look at the GT Pro field right now. This is the battle for the GT Pro race lead as Stefan Nobes trying to see if he can stay out in front of Michel Velazzi, and it's made easier by the fact that a lot of the GTP traffic trying to slice its way through. As well as that, Thomas Martin and Patrick Vogel having a bit of a grudge match for third place overall. And whoa, Vogel went off the racetrack. That's what opened up the door for Fisher to try to attack, but Vogel got back to the line by the time they got down to turn 4 and just clung on for the spot.
Tight racing out on the restart. Just about wheel to wheel. That's just not the corner you want to go side by side in, but man, they made it work. That's unbelievably tight through 6.
And they remain packed up nose to tail by just 0.3 of a second with an hour and a half to go. The battle for the lead is also on in GTM. Justin Delano trying to keep Kyle Lowe at bay. Ultra Motorsports and Digital Chicane looking like they want to duke it out once again. It's the 016 trying to keep that 93 car behind. It's a tall order, though, when you have a lot of GT Pro traffic up the road, and a Cadillac nearly cleaning out the second place runner in GTM.
Man, Vulture Motorsports on the inside here in the GTM. Trying to get around the GT Pro, just hasn't been able to do it. Almost contact. Oh, man. Vulture Motorsports, 016 of Delano, just about losing it out of turn number 3, looking now to the inside of turn number 4. I mean, just tight racing between guys that are not even in the same class.
And they're not even on the same lap either. Vulture Motorsports right now is trying to lap the Race Tech competition Audi, because with all of that yellow fly sorter that had to be done, the GTM field overall has actually been placed higher than the entirety of the GT Pro field. So right now, they're trying to lap a GT Pro car, which isn't making it any easier.
That's hilarious. Well, it definitely throws a wrench into this thing, a corkscrew, if you will, as we come through the corkscrew there, the Vulture Motorsports GTM leader. That's a weird one. It'll be interesting to see the final results, but, I mean, ultimately, it's not like it really matters. I don't know if the overall standings really hold any weight. It's really just what's in your class, so ultimately, it doesn't really matter what lap you're on for all that, but definitely a weird running order that we're seeing here tonight at Laguna Seca. Oh no, the 123, we saw him at the LMP2, we saw the 321 earlier in the race give the position up to the 123, allow his team car to go through, but now we're seeing Marcelino coming down pit road after an incident.
Take a look back. And trying to cut in and got cleaned out by a Ferrari that he just cut off.
Oh my word, what is happening in this race?
I mean, I have to say it, but GS Race did nothing wrong. I mean, Tri-State cut right across their nose with no warning of that at all. That is all on Tri-State.
Why would you not communicate? You're right. You got to get on the maybe they did.
Remember,
I was loading back into the surface.
Communications are not necessarily allowed during these races. And the battle for 8th, and GTP is on. To the inside goes Thomas Moore for Stop and Go Racing. Rui Souza really tried to pinch them in.
Yeah, these two fighting hard side by side, coming down into turn number 2. Who's it going to be on the inside? Mort trying to hold on to the position in that 278. Looks like he's going to hold on to it down on the inside, coming around the double left. But man, it was just so weird seeing that pit road incident. I mean, you just let the guy go. It's not that big of a deal to give the position, but we're looking at the replay here, coming down to the final corner. Late dive down into the corner, not really giving much space either, but gets the move stuck. Mort, move him up a spot.
That was a great battle into the final corner, an aggressive one at that. They tried to get pinched out, and Stop and Go was not having it.
GTP lead is tight between Meredith and Peterson. Coming around the penultimate corner, Peterson looking to the outside, trying to go for the cutback. Back onto the inside of the number 1, but no, the number 1 coming down into pit road. A little bit safer than what we saw last time by.
Scott Meredith, I figured he didn't stop in his box, and well, we're now seeing why. They've made it to about just shy of halfway on 1 tank of gas.
Wow.
Able to save so much under that caution. This could cut out a whole pit stop later on. Instead of having to do like a 40-second pit stop, it might be a 50-second stop, splash and go. And they're going to get Joshua Wolf into the car.
Wow. I'm just thinking of the strategy play that this actually turns out, or that this could end up being for the number 1 of Grizzly Motorsports, right? They still have to make one more pit stop, obviously.
Oh, my goodness. We got a big crash there as Tamira Baga has spun around. One of the Ferraris had big damage, and that sent your overall race leader off into the grass.
Yeah, it's not the first time that we've seen the MSP number 3 in the race lead have to take to the exit road in the VSCA series so far this year. If you remember the final 3 minutes of the Daytona 24 earlier, was it Bernie in the MSP 3 on Daytona?
Sure was.
This time, Peterson able to get around that one. Just a nervy moment. They're getting used to that, though.
Yellow Submarine Squad just punting the Mercedes around and backed it in, and that knocked the Ferrari's front clip off.
Yeah, it's never good whenever there's a front bumper line on the racetrack and it's moving faster in the correct direction than your car that's sitting stationary. It's never a good thing getting overtaken by somebody else's front bumper.
Division 1 Motorsports trying to hang on to a podium. Gowan Racing with 2 wins under their belt already this season at the Daytona 24 and at Long Beach, trying to close in to see if they can score a podium today in Course de Monterey and WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Hard on the brakes. But Division 1 Motorsports still hanging tough.
I'm just trying to think. I'm trying to do the math in my head, right? That caution came out at what, 2:05?
Just shy of it, yeah.
Okay, so you got to think we made it 35 minutes under green, and then the number 1 was able to make it to almost 125. Goodness gracious. So he made it 35 minutes under green plus the 40 minutes under caution. Wow, that's
likely running the very high gear under that whole caution period and clutching throughout the entirety of the yellow flag period as well.
But he's got it down to where they've only got to make one more pit stop. And I'm thinking, right, so he made it the 35 minutes under caution. Everybody else has 35 minutes under caution of fuel they put in as well. So you got to think they can make it. They can make it that 35 minutes that the 1 made it under that first stint. Well, so everybody in the GTP field that pitted should pit in about 35 minutes.
I was going to say, well, you have to remember as well, if they want to make that strategy work like they did, they needed a safety car first.
No, I'm saying because they spent the same amount of time under that safety car as the 1. So they should have saved the same amount of fuel. It's just they had pitted in it, right? It's different. You're flipping which stint you've got the caution flag in terms of you putting fuel into it. So they still saved a ton of fuel for this second run. At least if they were smart, they're clutching, they're turning off the car, they're saving as much gas as possible so that they can take as little under the next pit stop to get them to the finish. I really think that all these GTPs, they're going to be fringe making it on one stop, and if they can, then it's going to take out that advantage from the one. Oh, the MSP number 3 has gone around, coming out of our the third to last corner. Peterson just looping it all by himself.
Big problems for Nicholas Pedersen just as we cut to that battle for third in your LMP2 field. We'll take a look back and see what happened here as did he cut? I think he may have caught that anti-cut curve again and just spun up the wheels on exit.
He had just gotten past, not too many corners before that, for the race lead by Composite Performance.
Oh boy.
As I was just bullcrapping about strategy, so I apologize for that. But in my mind, it made sense.
And Gowan Racing taking over the spot for third on Visual Motorsports as they went 3 wide and split one of the GTM Ferraris. Vision 1 with a cutback, though, down from 1 and into 2 with the Andretti hairpin. Gowan hangs on, though. And Jack Hedgecox will keep Damian Benke at bay.
I just want to point out you called it turn 2.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm
right
proud.
This time.
I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Gowan Racing, though, holding on. Just tight battles through turn 2, though. Every time through that double left, it just seems to be very, very tight on the apex because a couple of people run a little bit differing lines. Obviously, you're going for that double apex in certain scenarios. Maybe you'd run out the first part of the corner wide and do a very, very late dive down into the second apex. But due to the different lines that you can run through that corner, we're seeing people really convene on top of each other right in the center of it. We're seeing a lot of near misses so far in the beginning of this thing.
And now RPM Racing trying to keep Torque Creek Racing behind as Brack Crouch tries to keep Neil Middleton at bay. And this is again with a lot of GTB traffic trying to slice through, along with the third place GTM runner. And RPM is going to go wide, open up the door for TFR to take that one down the inside of the final hairpin.
I mean, it just felt like there was absolutely nowhere for anybody to go down into the final corner. I mean, there was just a big gaggle of cars just all stuck on top of each other coming down into there. You got a couple faster cars trying to come through, almost 3 wide through the apex of the corner with one LMP2, a GTM, and a GT Pro. So, I mean, it's just kind of all kicking off there through that final little section. We're starting to see the MSP number 3 trying to come back through a couple of the GT Pro guys that are battling for that 6th place spot. Pedersen just trying to make up that ground. He's lost 7 seconds to Fogel since that spin.
We've also got the battle for 6th on in GT Pro. GSC Racing Esports trying to keep World of Sim Racing behind. Audi versus BMW with, I believe that's the GTM race leader trying to fight to the point as well, just behind, and work their way around all this mess. And again, there's that GTP traffic that's starting to get up and in the fray. And it's this is where it gets interesting, seeing how the GTP traffic manages all of this. And well, that's not going to do them any favors. And I had to say it, I think GSC Racing just completely turned in on the training paints like they weren't there.
They absolutely did. I mean, I'm looking back on it already. I mean, it's a pretty late move from Selena Ward in the GTP. I mean, it's a very late move from Selena Ward. We're going to watch this back, and you're probably going to change your mind.
Down the inside, and
like, he absolutely turned in, but Selena wasn't to the inside by the turn-in point. And I'm not a big road guy, but from what I know, she was way back in the vortex of danger in that scenario. The 21's in the way late in the braking zone.
No, you're not
You're committed
wrong.
to your turn-in point at that point.
Yeah, I'll change my tune on that one. You're not entirely wrong on that deal, and we'll see if Trading Paints Racing believes that to be worthy of a protest. You only get 3 in this race because it's a sprint race, right? 2 hours, 40 minutes, so you only get 3 challenges for an incident. We'll see if they think that's worthy of one. And there's the change for 2nd place. Hedgecox getting up and around Thomas Bucco for GSC Racing Esports. Gowan's going for the lead to the inside now. Rising Panda. Holy cow, where have they come from? Lehman, one of the GTPs is around, but the battle for LMP2 is on.
Yeah, Gowan just holding on from Rising Panda currently. Hedgecox up in the race lead. We're trying to run him back down, but man, there's just
no!
more contact. Is that Selena Ward getting turned into pit road?
No, I think there was contact there.
Yeah, Selena Ward got turned into pit road.
Good grief.
My goodness. Well, I suppose that was karma for Selena Ward from the last time by. I guess. I don't know. That was a tough scenario. I feel terrible for her on that one.
So there's the move, and I want to get a look back on this entire thing. So first and foremost, this is Team Hardcore. Again, just taking too much, and looping it by themselves, and then this is Jack Hedgecock's. This was the move he made for second. Just sniped that one away in turn 6. He's got a run on Rising Panda up over the hill here. Just sends that one to the inside and picks him up against nothing. Just threads the needle to get around Hardcore. Gets around the Audi, and then what happens to Selena Ward? Ward's slowing up because that's the GTM leader right in front of her.
Yeah.
And then comes around the corner, and yeah, right there. You saw the contact. That knocks Selena Ward into pit road.
Yeah, the time before.
Again, a good save.
The time before, if I was trading paints, I wouldn't set it or do excuse me, whenever she kind of got into the GT car, I wouldn't do a protest. I kind of felt like she just kind of dove from too far back. That time, she got spun down pit road from too far back from a slower cast car. So I'd be a little irritated with the second one if I was that race team.
Well held though. That was a great save. That probably should have been a hit into the barrier.
Yeah, that could have been a whole lot worse. I'm actually seeing there's been a couple black flags. Firestone Motorsports number 29, Ultra Motorsports Plus number 17, and the Race for Cat Motorsport number 23 have all been black flagged over the course of the last couple laps, it seems.
I'm willing to bet that's all for pit road violations. It usually is.
Okay.
That's the only penalties they hand out in race is restart violations and pit road violations under caution.
Fair enough. Then a couple of issues for those guys, but I don't believe any of those were heavy race contenders for the race lead. I don't remember really calling any of them out for a battle for the race lead in the early going. So I don't know if this really, I don't think this really changes anything in terms of battles for the race lead in any of our classes here. As we're looking at Nobes holding on from Velazzi. These two have been very, very tight ever since the drop of the restart, or drop of the green flag on the restart. Oh, is that the 42 getting a little wide in the GTP coming out of the final corner a little further back, but Nobes holding on to the GT Pro lead currently over Velazzi in the 69.
North Sim Racing is closing though, and remember that 69 car has spent a good chunk of this race on the point as well, or at least battling for it with Fish Motorsports, and they've been steadily reeling this gap in a bit more, but this Cadillac coming through could disrupt things, or it could go the way of North Sim Racing. That put Fish Motorsports offline, and here we go, battle for the GT Pro lead with no room to go there for Vice Motorsports. A bit of contact, it looked like, on the entry to the corner. Fisher hangs on though from North Sim Racing for now, and Vice just gonna fire that one up the inside, but too wide into turn 6, won't work. Fisher hangs on. Yeah,
Nobes had the preferred groove there, but coming up to the corkscrew, obviously we've seen this is the trouble spot time and time again, kind of going defensive on the left before they get down to that little right kink, and then easily riding it down to the apex. The 44 looking nice and tidy, but the 69 honestly looking a little bit better through the corkscrew there, even tucked in behind the number 44 coming up to the penultimate corner. Looking to the inside, kind of a quick corner. You don't really want to go for that move through here. You want to set yourself up for the final corner, and he has as he's all over the back bumper. Now looking to the inside, down to the final corner. Fisher Motorsport having to give it up to North Sim Racing. Move Velazzi up into the lead of the GT Pro category.
Good show there. Velazzi back up and onto the point. Meanwhile, Justin Olano is into pit road, so your GTM class leader will pull that one off and go up on the jacks, and I don't think they can make it to the end. They're gonna have to go a little bit longer, I think, on this one. Got a battle for 6th in GTM as well. Yellow Submarine Squad trying to keep off the SSFA. Eric Ferrari's going at it.
Yeah, you were talking about you can't make it to the end from here. You're absolutely right, but I do think we're gonna start seeing some strategy plays. I really think that we're close to a fringe one stop for a couple of these classes with the way that caution flew and how long it took. So I'm very intrigued about who's really running it super hard right now and who's trying to cut out a pit stop.
We'll find out, won't we, over the next hour or so about who's going to try to go for that one stop, as Scouts S Racing, the LMB2, getting around the battle for 7th in GT Pro as well. Simon Roy Husum trying to keep Neil Middleton behind. It's been a phenomenal race. I mean, this has been just non-stop action from start to finish, even more so than I think the Roar.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to call 3 of the 4 races so far. Unfortunately, I could not make Long Beach, but every time that I've gotten to watch these VSCA guys go around and rip these things around the racetrack, it's been phenomenal. I mean, the Roar was awesome, by the way. The Roar was just great. The Daytona 24, it's a 24-hour race, so it's a slow burner through a good bit of it, but there's action all throughout it, craziness happening throughout the entirety of the event, and the finish was just unreal. And then, Long Beach I wasn't able to be there for, but then Sebring, we had the rain, and that race was absolutely crazy, and we've just backed it up again at Laguna Seca so far today, and a little over halfway and a little over an hour left in this thing, and it's just been nothing but fantastic racing the entire time.
This battle for fourth in GTM is still tight as Yellow Submarine Squad and Off DS Racing continue to duke it out. It's very much an ebbing and flowing gap because of the Acura and another Cadillac that just broke past this too. But they've not been letting each other go. I mean, they have been very tight for the last 10 minutes or so.
It just got really nervy in front of the number 15 GTP Cadillac coming out of turn 6. They were too wide right in front of him. Coming out of that corner, luckily he caught him coming out rather than going in. But it was very, very tight. Looking at the MSP number 3 coming through the same corner, and you can tell that's 20 seconds between the 15 and 3. I think that the 3 made that little mistake and had that half spin, and I think that they are saving for the one stop at this point, because there's no way that they're dropping 13 seconds off of Vogel since the spin. The spin sent them 7 down. They've lost another 13, so they've either had another incident or they're saving their gas trying to make this a one stop. From the caution.
Motorsports not too happy with Tri-State Racing, it looks like there, as they're being swarmed by a whole host of prototype traffic from both classes at this point in time. And DS Racing Esports team trying to put these lap cars for himself and MSP to keep him at bay after making that pass to the court, so looking like he'll do that, and that'll break this battle up pretty quickly. This is Thomas Moore trying to work his way up and around Rise Panda Racing, the number 3. This is the battle for 9th place overall on the racetrack. And that'll go pretty easily in the way of stop-and-go racing with that top-end charge. But still got battles everywhere throughout the racetrack, and looking like the FRS Sports Machine just had a small off at turn 6. Well, the battle for 6th in GTM picks up.
Yeah, full sin racing. Sending it to the inside of the digital chicane number 93. The 93 had been running, up towards the front. I believe, wasn't the 93 the top qualifier out of the GTMs? Yeah, the 80 had qualified 32nd on grid, and the 93 qualified 29th on grid. So I'm surprised to see the 93 have so many issues.
Issues for your second place runner in LMP2, Thomas Buechel having a major issue. Oh, just shot that to the inside of Gowan and spun off the track.
That's a pretty late move down into that corner. That was a little over.
That'll be 2 liters in.
Oh yeah, he is. My goodness, that was a little over eager through that corner, I believe, trying to get that second place spot.
Pedersen is also into pit road, so could not make it to the hour mark.
No, so they're definitely not trying to cut it down to a one stop. I was hopeful that we were fringed there, that they had saved enough under that long caution period, but it's looking like that won't be the case. But man, they're just about kissing doors down the front straightaway. Full sin racing in the digital chicane number 93.
They are not doing each other many favors here in terms of trying to keep it clean. Kyle Lowe to the inside of Carl Felver, and Lowe gonna hang on. Digital chicane. Their 93 car will pick it off from Full Send Racing, and Felver thinking about trying for it, but right now, Digital Chicane, I think, is firmly secure in that 6th place.
I'm just surprised that they're running 6. They've been absolutely rapid. If they pitted recently, then that would explain it. But the 93's just shown so much pace tonight, and they're not really showing it at the moment. Kind of looking back to see if they had pitted any time recently. I'm looking back on their lap 51, and they did have a 30-second longer lap.
Whoa! Timo Van Gemmer for MMTQ just went straight on at the corkscrew and cut across the track. Taking a look back at this, and was there... Oh, they got help from Hardcore. Team Hardcore hard into the barriers, and that sent MMTQ straight on.
Goodness gracious, the corkscrew it's just It'll reach out and grab you, man.
That was,
I'm telling you, it's a tough corner, and especially whenever you're going in there too wide. And it's that kink beforehand. It's very deceptive. That's the second time we've seen it tonight. The first one was on lap number 1, where the guy on the left-hand side just cuts in a little bit too much for that kink and causes the incident.
That's hard to even tell who was even at fault there. I mean, they fired across that racetrack too. That could have been bad. I mean, you saw right there, I mean, that was one of the digital chicane cars. Was that Oravec potentially? It was not Oravec. It was Kyle Lowe. I mean, look at Lowe here. That's a scary sight to see right in front of you, approaching a blind corner.
And I got to point out, I was talking about the digital chicane 93. They did come down pit road. That's why they're running so far back. I was very concerned them being that far back. Looking at another view of the Team Hardcore getting down into the...
This is, that's HAC.
Oh.
Dropping at the final corner and slamming into one of the Ferraris, and that causes a massive pile-up in the corner.
Yeah, probably smart just to get out of it. But I was mentioning on my end, I'm looking at the other incident because we couldn't really tell from the in-car whose fault it was. I'm looking at it right now, and the MMT Racing, they just kind of drove into the the left rear of Team Hardcore and ended their day.
We saw another almost coming together, and we've had another problem on the track. Michael Cruz has gone around and has parked it. Oh no, sorry, Cruz was involved in that. So Casey Racing, that damage was worse than we thought.
That thing's destroyed.
Oh yeah, they had to park it in tow. Christian Sherrard, LMP2 runner for Tri-State Racing, having this off.
Whoa!
Lap a digital chicane car.
Yeah, looked a little, definitely looked a little too rapid going around that corner. Haven't seen anybody try to take it at that speed yet. We've proven that it does not work. So that's good to know.
Out for 5th in GT Pro, Kinetic Racing, Fisher Motorsports, and Race Tech competition within 2 seconds. 0.6 of a second up between Kinetic and Fisher for the time being. There you see 5th and 6th on your screen. Race Tech sort of loosely tagging on to the tail end of this battle pack. And again, a lot of traffic having to dive its way through, which is not making it any easier for these drivers to fight it out with these positions. It's not a track that you would typically expect to see, multi-class racing on, right? It is one of those racing circuits where you have to be on your toes because trouble is never too far away.
Well, and in the pre-race, I was talking about how, it's surrounded on both sides of the racetrack by dead grass and gravel. So if you make a mistake, it reaches out and grabs you. So you do have to be alert 100% of the time. And we've seen it coming down to this kink we're watching right here. Whenever 2 different speeds of cars get down. Oh no, the 123 off again through the corkscrew. But through that kink, I'm telling you, if you just paid just a little bit too little of attention in your side-by-side, you're going to come together through that little kink. Could that be what we saw through here? Nope, it actually is in the corkscrew, given plenty of room, but just gave a little bit too much room. Got the left side tires into the dead grass and ripped that thing around. I think that's about the exact same incident we've seen from the 123 from a little bit earlier. This time, the 93 kind of turns in like the LMP2 was never going for it, and might have to back that one up to kind of see exactly like whether he was in the vortex of danger or not. I couldn't quite tell.
We'll get a better look at this one here. HAC Racing coming out of pit road.
That's a late dive. It's a late dive. If you look at it from the rear of the LMP2, he was way far back into the braking zone. He was asking way too much out of the GTM there, and unfortunately for the GTM, that's the 93 I was talking about. They came down pit road and lost a ton of time. Now they just lost a ton more because they got dive bombed in turn number 3.
This digital chicane car has not had a good outing this afternoon. They're still running 6th somehow, despite 7th now, sorry, despite all of the issues that they've had throughout the course of this race. But this is, I think, going to be one that they're going to be eager to forget about.
Yeah, I mean, if we say that, there's still an hour and 3 minutes left in this thing. So maybe they'll get a lucky caution that could help them out. But this is Mork. Oh, and the 278, the gravel, the new gravel coming in handy.
And this battle, once again, for GT Pro for 6th, Race Tech competition, trying to still make that move on Fisher Motorsports. Porsche v Audi. And right now, that Porsche has been a hard one to beat. And around goes Orbach, the GTM leader. drops it out of the final corner. He'll spin it up and get rolling, but that's big. That's
unbelievably huge. That cuts down the gap to Screeching Moose Motorsports dramatically.
Yeah. It's down to 3.7 seconds now, and again,
it was over 12.
And I mean, again, Orvich tried to stay to the inside, and the Audi turned in, and they made contact, and Orvich comes off the worst.
Oh, and that's such minor contact. It's just they're both going at two wildly different angles through the corners. Orvex cut it so narrow that he actually straddled that sausage curve on the inside, and just the angle that he hit the yellow 55 on the outside, it was just a terrible angle right into the door and spun him around. I wouldn't put anything on the 55. He gave him a lane on the inside. It's just the angle that the 80 was trying to come through that corner at was just kind of poor, and unfortunately it's cost him 10 seconds to Santos.
Santos is closing still. That gap down to 2.8 now, so Lucas Santos does not want to be denied.
Well, you got to think if you're Orvex,
that car also has to pit within 20 minutes if they want to meet the minimum drive time requirements.
That's true, but I think everybody's got to pit, right? Like the guys that he's racing for the lead have to pit too, so I don't think it's necessarily the biggest deal. And I think Orvex started the race for the 80 as well. Yeah, Orvex has to do the exact same. So both the two leaders in the GTM are on the same strategy, and now all of a sudden Screeching Moose Motorsports is within shouting distance of making it 5 in a row.
That'd be legendary, right? I mean, 5 race wins in a row, 4 of them being points races. That would be phenomenal.
Can we cue the do Max Verstappen music or whatever? Like, we need to make that for Lucas Santos. You know what I'm talking about? If you don't know what I'm talking about, then that's going to be really sad, because that's like the biggest meme thing for F1 right now.
I was only half paying attention throughout that statement. Say it again.
Thank you. We need to come up with the Max Verstappen music for Lucas Santos, because if he's going to win every single race this season, Screeching Moose Motorsports guys. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry that I lull you to sleep every time I open my mouth.
Battlefield Third is picking up as well. Texas Speed Sim Racing in their highest performance ever in this championship, trying to keep Kinetic Racing at bay, but boy, Kinetic on a charge, and Texas Speed struggling to keep the Porsche behind.
Oh, in the final corner here, is that the MSP number 3 on the inside trying to come through? Really just trying to recover at this point. I mean, it's kind of all gone sour for him, and I'm looking at Bernie, they're over a lap now to the leader of Composite Performance. I'm looking to see if they've come down pit road. They did at lap 62. Obviously, as Bernie is in the car now. Pedersen was the one driving earlier. Everybody in front of them starts to come down pit road, but I'd be a little bit... Obviously, that's too early for the MSP number 3 to make it on one stop. Fogel in the 15 is still out on the racetrack. And I feel like if he makes it another 7-8 minutes, he could have the opportunity of making it on one stop. But
we got a duo of Porsches off the racetrack. Sorry, no, that's the battle for 6th. They both crashed
through turn 3, coming under the bridge now. Both stuck on the inside barrier. Oh no!
Oh my goodness! I thought they crashed each other, but no, they both got taken out by one of the Tri-State LMP2s.
Oh no! What in the world is going on through turn 3? Why is turn 3 such a trouble spot for the faster cars getting through the slower cars? There's just no patience through turn 3 whatsoever the last 5 times by.
Take a ride on board here with Husum here. I mean, watch this. See the LMP2 car. It just nicked Fisher Motorsports. There was nowhere for him to go when the LMP2 then got loose and crashed as a result.
Word. And if we back it up even further, it's another late dive bomb from a faster car. He's behind both of these cars coming into the braking zone, and just dives it down and clips the back end. I mean, I don't understand what's going on with the faster class cars through turn 3 at this point. They're all just diving it way too late. The patience is gone. The patience we saw in the first stint before that caution is just completely gone from the faster class cars. It's just kind of dive bomb city at this point.
Here comes the LMP2, and this is going to be that look that you're talking about. Picks off the Audi and just nicks Fisher Motorsports. And they got away effectively scot-free from that.
I mean, goodness gracious.
Wolf and Felber off the track.
And that's coming out of the penultimate corner. Another GTM coming down a little bit further back in the Mercedes. And then here,
2 incidents.
Oh my word.
There was was Wolf, and then this was Felver in the Full Send Racing Mercedes.
Oh,
That curve again.
just turned in a little too early.
Kicked it skyward as well for a brief second. Take another look at this. I mean, watch the nose of this car. Look at the air that this thing gets when it hits that. I mean, that's not insignificant. That could do some serious damage.
Yeah, it absolutely could. I mean, that was a heavy hit to that sausage curb, and I mean, heavy enough to throw him completely off of the racetrack. Looking a little bit further back in the GT Pro field. Now the battle for 7th. D'Ambrosio, Husum in the 55, coming down towards the corkscrew, going a little defensive here, shallowing up that entry just to prevent the 55 from making a move. North Sim Racing here, D'Ambrosio in the 69, coming around the long sweeping left-hander, late down to the sausage curve on the inside, and just making sure you avoid that one through the fast right and down to the final corner. Has enough of a gap to not really have to worry until the LMP2 decides to dive from way far back behind both of those guys. Luckily that time, no incident from the faster car coming through.
For all of this, we've crossed under the 1 hour to go mark. And now, North Sim Racing, oh man, slamming the door on Race Tech competition, and I don't think Race Tech would be too pleased with that. They were trying to make that look, and they telegraphed it early, but North Sim Racing just again turned in big time.
And that's how you go through turn 3 right there without killing somebody. Big credit to that fast car that was going through. I couldn't quite tell who it was, but that's how you take turn 3.
I believe that's composite.
Yeah, was it composite? Well, I mean, that makes sense. He's leading the thing,
yeah.
but yeah, so I mean, that makes a little bit more sense. The GTP race leader understanding how to get through lap traffic, but here, the GT Pro leader coming down pit road. That's Nobes in the 44. We're going to see a driver change here.
Would not surprise me. Sure enough, Nobes out of the car, and Daniel Gruber will be hopping in. So number 44 will be the driver in the car. That'll take them to the end of this race. Matthew Orovech is into pit road. He'll be the first one to blink in the battle with the GTM lead. Lucas Santos leads for the first time. Orovech out, and Quinn Mitchell hops in.
Now we got to pay attention to Santos. How long does he stay out? When does he come in? And who gets behind the wheel of that number 5?
I would anticipate them to be able to the next 2 laps here. You don't want to be caught out on undercut strategy, right? I mean, and they've been very good with their pit strategies all season long, so I would expect that Santos will make a quick response here.
I think it all depends on how much clean air they have, right? Like how much traffic, how much are they having to get out of the way for people? How much time are they losing in that sense? And I'm looking at the rear chase cam of the number 5 right now, the Screeching Moose Motorsports number 5 with Lucas Santos. And I barely see anybody. I see a couple GTP or LMP2s coming through from, a straightaway back, which they'll catch that relatively quickly. But other than that, that number 5 is in clean air. I wouldn't give that up. I would run it as long as...
It's also a factor, though, that you have to consider, right? Not only are you in clean air now, but will you be in clean air when you exit? That's another huge factor they have to worry about.
And to that point, Quinn Mitchell is not. He's stuck behind the number 6 of John A. Goodwin. So that's a GTM competitor that he is stuck directly behind from pitting. And I believe John is a couple laps down. So he very well could get out of the way, but he's not. And he's holding up Orovech right now. And if you're Lucas Santos, you got to be smiling ear to ear as he's actually coming down pit road. But he had a full clean lap of clean air as the number 80 now is coming around, and he's stuck behind the 6.
Santos leaves out of the car. No surprise there. And it'll be Sean Hatfield who will be jumping in to take this one through to the checkered flag. And they are good to go to the end, right? I mean, all these GG cars we see coming down into pit road, they are confirmed good to go to the end. Thomas hops out of the 5th place rider for Texas Speed Simmers in the LMP2, and Gavin Dumet will hop into the car. Hedgecogs remain in the car for Gowan Racing. Remy Loge remained in the car for Rising Panda.
There it is. That's the battle for the GTM lead. Just changed hands there, but it's relatively close between Screeching Moose and the Digital Chicane number 80 as they're both coming through turn number 2, one on the access road. That's a lot closer gap than what it was before the pit stop.
Gap right now, 2.5, and Kyle Potter has just taken it into pit road. Potter, Interesting.
GTM never disappoints, man. I don't know what it is, but the GTM class, these guys know how to put on a show week in, week out.
And in fact, I believe that is the MSP car, potentially a hardware failure for the other driver that was in that car before Kyle Potter. Oh boy, and there goes Ewan Stitchbury off the track and into the barriers.
Oh, and that front bumper, or that the entire front end is gone.
Look at the right front. That wheel is broke.
Oh.
It's not even connected to the drive shaft. You see that?
I didn't even feel like it was that heavy of contact, but these things are built like.
We're looking away from that impact as well. That could have been a lot heavier than it looked like. We'll take it right on board.
Good point. Gonna get a look at it coming down to the corkscrew. Just late on the brakes. Too late on the brakes.
It wasn't a hard hit. The problem was it was a direct hit to the right front. If that was square, I don't think there's a problem. But the fact that was a direct hit to the right front, that was already somewhat exposed, that's what gives the problem. Pereira off as well.
It's a fair point, and I know that there's like progressive damage. So if you tap something with the right front earlier in the race, it becomes easier to brake later. So that could have been what we saw as well.
And that is that's a risky place to be stopped. He'll slowly back that one off the racetrack. Patrick Fogel having this problem at turn 1.
And that's the composite leader, or that's the GTP leader in composite performance with this issue down into turn number 1. How big was it? Oh, he got squeezed down to the corner. That's a tough one. I
think that's
obviously
a late dive.
I think I agree with you. It's weird because it feels like the Audi's opening up the corner for him to take it, and then just kind of shallows it.
Double apex. You have to take that wide line. That's the racing line.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. It feels as though he invited the 15 in, and though I don't know. It's just tight on the corner. But I agree. I've mostly been judging the faster car coming through so far today, so I suppose I need to keep it relatively consistent, right?
Car number 830 has reported they are done for the day with terminal damage on their machine. That was the Team Hardcore machine. That got turned the wrong way, even the corkscrew by MMGQ about half an hour ago. They will not be able to repair that damage and get back out on the racetrack. They are done for the night. That is unfortunate news for Team Hardcore. They were hoping to have a good day, and well, they'll have to try again in about a month or so when we run down to Circuit of the Americas for the next sprint race. And that was a bit of a nervy moment for GSC Racing Esports in the battle for the LMP2 leader.
Yeah, nervy moment there. I feel bad for Team Hardcore because I remember that. I mean, it was going into the corkscrew. They just got taken out through the kink before the corkscrew, and just hard impact. So honestly, just tough break for the 830. I don't really think they had anything to do with that. Just got left reared coming down to a braking zone. But the LMP2 battle, man, it's really tight between these two guys, and by the end of this race, it's going to be tight between the GTM guys. I think we're going to get a battle for the lead between Hatfield and the Digital Chicane number 80 at some point. Or sorry, this is the 80 leading that battle. But it's currently for P3, but I believe the 83 and the 531 in the GTM class are both going to have to come down pit road at some point.
And Patrick Fogel is into pit road. Thomas Martin for Vision Motorsports picks up the overall race lead. Aiden Campbell having to jump into the pit. Zachary Living would jump into the pit. So a few more drivers having technical problems and having their drivers drop out and having to make inconvenient tows to pit road. And
oh man, there's a lot of packet loss stuff going on right now. A lot. I'm 7. I'm telling you, there's a new one every 10 seconds. I'm seeing a new guy get disconnected. Boy. Another one. There's 8 of them now. Unbelievable. Whenever you started talking about it, there was only 5.
Nicholas Johnston getting into the car in terms of Patrick Vogel, but this is a problem that we saw last month as well during the 12-hour Sebring, right? A lot of drivers, particularly with the rain, were suffering from dropping out of the session, and it costed a lot of teams a good race.
Well, I mean, was it the rain? I mean, if we just had 10 get disconnected, so it might have not been the rain.
Well, I think it was the rain last time around because it was a performance bug, right? Like, systems could not handle what was being delivered upon them, what was being reported to us at least.
I was feeling like that might have just been a hypothesis. Like maybe it just got disproven because it's the same problem.
Orlando
Everybody losing.
Campos just jumped to the pits.
Goodness gracious.
And that is Vice Motorsports who are way down the field. They're 3 laps off of the 52nd place runner overall. Battle for third underway. Visual Motorsports and Gowan Racing trying to duke it out. And Casey Racing into the barriers again.
It was right before the kink, I believe. No, it was right after the kink. Excuse me. Just looping it down on the second apex down there. Not really too surprising. Seen that time and time again whenever I jump into practice sessions here at this racetrack. Typically, I'm the one driving that I see doing that.
Joshua Wolf going off.
My word.
And that is at the exit of turn 4.
Last couple minutes have been a bit of non-stop craziness. Man, and that's a weird corner to lose it there for an LMP2. I feel like we haven't seen. Sorry, it's blue. It throws me off whenever it's blue. I always see the blue and I think LMP2. But yeah, but still for a GTP, for the faster cars, I feel like it's typically not a difficult corner, especially by yourself. So just a weird spot to see somebody lose it. But our GTP leader coming down pit road. Thank God it's not blue, or else I would have said LMP2.
Thomas Martin from Vision Motorsports jumping out of the car. Rui Souza of Virginia's Racing Esports team will also be into pit road. Still waiting on the Acura Bravo Shattuck, currently running third to pit as well. They have not stopped since the caution period. They are good to go to the end of the race now if they stop now, so we are expecting them to be in before too long as well. And Kaprowski is off. The Digital Chicane 93 again with problems, and this time forced to tow with quite possibly terminal damage on a big crash.
What in the world is happening in this race? I mean, the 93 has just not been themselves tonight. Oh, just pushing it out on exit. That's heavy contact to the inside barrier.
And the Tri-State Racing 321 just barely avoided disaster there with that one right on board with Christian Sherrard.
Oh, wow. That's a heck of a job there. Wow, wow, wow. Great job, Christian. That was phenomenal.
That also revealed a story, though, right? Digital Chicane made side-to-side contact. Well, there goes Thomas Martin off the track at turn 3 in the Fisher Motorsports GTP. But that revealed a story, right? That showed that Kaprowski drove into the side of, I think that was the Fisher Motorsports LMP2.
Yeah, and it was tight because I think he was expecting the Fisher Motorsports entry to be a little bit quicker. I would have expected them to be quicker out of that corner, but it just wasn't. It wasn't the case. He ended up not being clear by corner exit. I just think that they thought that they were going to be, so they were washing up out of the racetrack. And unfortunately for them, it didn't pan out that way, and they went hard into the inside barrier, had to take the tow. And like I said, the 93 it's been all day. They just haven't been themselves. At least not what we've come to expect from the Digital Chicane 93, I should say.
Got a scrap between Fisher and Stop and Go with MSP kind of breaking up the party in the middle. That number 3 car is not on the same lap as this battle for third. So very much being the cork in the bottle right now. But they're doing their best. They're just running their own race, right? Trying to see if they can pick up any more spots. You mentioned the sun was starting to dip a bit, and that's been growing more apparent as we are now just past 17. Sorry, we're past 7 o'clock, 7:15 p.m. in Sim, and the track temp has cooled dramatically as well. It's down 5 degrees centigrade from the start of this race. That's a pretty big jump in Fahrenheit.
I couldn't tell you the last time I heard somebody say centigrade. That threw me off big time.
Well, for the,
me being the American
for your
I am.
sake, that's 78 degrees Fahrenheit all the way down
to 66.
69 actually.
Oh.
Well, 70.
Oh, track temp. Sorry, I was thinking road temp. Yeah, you're right. I know the calculation in my head. I was an engineering student for a little while, but hearing centigrade, yeah, I'm not used to. Well, I was going to say you Canadians, but to be fair, I can't use that for this scenario, given that we are the only ones that use the wrong one over here. Celsius is definitely better.
For Yellow Submarine Squad. Ooh, into the back, one of the GT Pros, and then back into the side at the corkscrew.
Again, it's just that kink lends itself to weird accidents, man. The kink before the corkscrew, I think, causes more issues than the corkscrew does, at least whenever you're racing side by side. a little bit of people cutting their noses off, and just, I don't know, we're going to see from the onboard of the Yellow Submarine, just see exactly what happens with the 32 out in front.
Braked early.
Yeah, exactly. That's a heavy brake check coming into the corkscrew.
Well, I can't exactly fault the BMW for that, though, because he's trying to make sure that he doesn't run into the back of the GTPs that are braking even harder than him up the road.
Yeah, but you do have to hold one specific line coming into the corner, and I felt like he might have deviated from that a little bit and made it unpredictable for the driver behind. I just feel like if you're going to brake early for somebody in front of you, you have to make it predictable for the guy behind you, or else that's just what you're going to get. At the end of the day, I'd probably just put it up to a racing incident, but I'd still be frustrated if I got brake checked like that, even unintentionally.
This is multi-class racing, right?
Facts. I mean, that's just the way that the cookie crumbles here on these kind of races. I'm getting used to it, I guess. I'm not completely there yet, but just about every race, I've learned a little bit more about what these guys are going through, and just the different type of driver etiquette that you have to have in one of these races. And I say that, but I also say at the beginning of these things every time that I come and broadcast them, man, you give Europeans fenders and they just don't know what to do with them. They just bully people out of the way. So it's almost like that etiquette that I'm talking about isn't there half the time.
I do like how you say that when we're in a series that runs exclusively on American racetracks.
Well,
there's a touch of irony to that. You can't deny it.
It's on American racetracks, but most of these guys are European, right? So I feel like I'm okay to say that.
I'll give you a pass for that one.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like to hear.
Battle on and contact. Fisher Motorsports bullying composite performance out of the way.
Goodness gracious. I mean, I get running hard for what will end up being the lead, but that was aggressive coming through the last couple of corners. I mean, it got the job done. So credit to Martin there in the number 4, but he bullied. It's not Patrick Vogel anymore. He absolutely bullied Nicholas Johnston out of the way there in the 15. I got to think Johnston ain't too happy about that.
Oh, it's not over either! Oh, no! Fisher Motorsports gets into a big time. That rear wing is gone, and that could spell the end of Thomas Martin and Fisher Motorsports charge for a race win.
Wow. I was just talking about the 15 is probably not happy about that. Well, I guarantee you they are smiling ear to ear at this point after what just happened to Thomas Martin down to turn number 1. Looking at it, late on the brakes. Obviously, a little bit of an issue in front.
A Constantina. Nobody did anything wrong there. That was just an LMP2 checking up and getting a bit squirrely, trying to check out for a digital chicane Ferrari, and it caused a stack up. There's nothing that anybody did wrong there.
Yeah, the LMP2 was trying to be nice to the digital chicane entry, and at the end of the day, Thomas Martin was also trying to be nice, not trying to get into the back of the LMP2, but unfortunately, he's the one that got caught out. Now, the 11, Carter in the LMP2, going through the dirt, through the corkscrew. Every time you change the camera, we're seeing cars hit each other. We're seeing a car go off the racetrack. Next time, I imagine we're going to see a car go hard into the tire barrier, and it just happened.
The timing of that was impeccable.
I don't know what to tell you. This is unbelievable.
Immaculate timing.
This is hilarious. I just don't even know what to tell you. And that's as hard as you can go into the tire barrier.
And you know what caused that? Loss of rear downforce, because he lost that rear wing just half a lap prior.
Oh my word! That's about the worst lap that you could see from Fisher Motorsports, and you can't put it on Thomas Martin all that much. Again, going down into turn 1, he was trying to do the gentlemanly thing. He was trying to do the right thing and not run over the 2 guys that were having a moment in front of him. But unfortunately for him, he was just caught in the bad sandwich and got all that damage. And then, like you mentioned, because of the damage, he just couldn't control it going through that fast sweeping left-hand corner, probably the fastest corner on the racetrack. And, without the rear wing on a speedy corner, it's just not going to work.
Thomas Martin was forced to take a tow to pit road as a result of all of that, which is unfortunate. They could not get that car back around to the pits. And we're watching a tight battle for second right now in your LMP2 field, with MSP trying to just battle through as well, just behind. This is the battle for 7th place overall with 3 cars, and Gowan Racing round the long way of Andretti. Couldn't get the nose in there. And right now, Nicholas Pedersen is not happy. This is a dangerous place to be, and how about that? Gowan getting around a GTP car, 3 wide now, as Gowan trying to run away.
Well, this is our GTP leader. This is Nicholas Johnston stuck in the middle of this in the composite performance, number 15 on the inside. 3 wide into turn number 5. Just about having to back out just a little bit as Gowans to his outside. This is, I mean, if you're the GTP leader, you've got 35 seconds on the second place car. You've got to be as patient as possible through this, but that was the nastiest hornet's nest we've seen the entire time.
And back to the lead, back to second. We'll go Remy Loge, Rising Panda Racing gets back down the inside. The spot will change twice in the span of 1 lap, and all of it because of lap traffic. There's a huge cluster of cars packed up in this one section of the racetrack. I mean, you open up that track map, and I mean, it kind of goes off screen at the bottom, unfortunately. But you see my point, right? I mean, there's like a third of the field clustered up in this one, like, 4-corner section. Meanwhile, 4th place runner Vermeer, I think, just went off the racetrack along with Quinn Mitchell and Kristen Sherrard.
I was talking about this during the caution period. This is what you get with the shorter racetracks, though. The GTPs are getting around this place in a minute and 10 seconds. If the racetrack only takes a minute and 10 seconds to get around for the fastest car, you're not ever going to have a moment to breathe. You are always going to be lapping somebody, or you're always going to be getting lapped by somebody. Oh my goodness!
Or taken out by somebody like that.
That's Orvex into 80. Isn't that our
no, that was
GTM?
That was Quinn Mitchell, but that is the GTM leader who's into pit road, and that has put Sean Hatfield to the lead.
That's the Digital Chicane 80 has led this entire thing, dominated, and that was that's unbelievably dirty coming down into the corkscrew, and it's giving it to Hatfield in the Screeching Moose Motorsports number 5. What in the world is that?
This is, man, this race is just, there's no control anymore over this race. I mean, this has all gone completely off it went off the rails a while ago as Gowan Racing locks it up big time for their final pit stop of the afternoon with 36 minutes to go. There is any control that this race once had has gone out the window. I think that has been made very clear. I mean, holy Toledo.
And I've got to go back to the Digital Chicane number 80. It's the kink before the corkscrew. The 321 gets together. He drifts a little wide off of the corkscrew and gets into the GTM, the 33 that was side by side, the MSP number 33 that was side by side with him, and just causes the entire incident that takes out the guy that has led the team that has led the entire GTM race. I mean, what in the world has happened in the last 20 minutes of this thing?
On board with Kyle Potter on the approach.
It's going to be his car on the right. He
oh, no, that wasn't even MSP's fault. Tri-State Racing ran into them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. The Tri-State Racing machine drifted from the curb on the inside and turned across the MSP number 33's nose. He got lazy and didn't keep turning. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, this is going to be a great view. You are going to see the 321 completely drive off of the curb. You're supposed to keep this tight to the right.
So he wanted to get through.
Look, he flashed him and then drifted across his nose.
Good grief.
Ugh.
This field cannot catch a break. Sean Hatfield and Pedro Espadina both had an off. I believe we just saw one of them slow on the racetrack. This is Sean Hatfield, the Screeching Moose Motorsports leader now.
No way.
Getting it.
Well, that was his own fault.
I have no words.
What is going, dude? I'm losing my mind.
That he got into right there. He did not lose the lead. He kept the lead, but the gap at about 19 seconds now. And then again, Joshua Wolf spun up into the wall by Justin Delano.
What the heck has happened?
This is turning into a demo derby.
I mean, this race has been fantastic until about the hour mark, and the last 25 minutes, it's devolved. I just don't understand what's going on. I really feel like I'm watching like an ARCA Break Weekly, the bottom split ARCA drivers over the last 25 minutes. The crashes have just been consistent, nonstop. Nobody's taking care of each other out there.
I mean, there's only even one battle on the racetrack that's within a second of each other, and it's between the GTM and the GT Pro car. Nobody else is within a second right now. There's no need to be driving like this. I don't understand.
Ooh, this is just not what we've come to expect from the VSCA Sports Car Championship. And again, the first hour and a half of this race was great. The racing standards were perfectly fine. They were what you would come to expect, but the last 25 minutes, it has genuinely just been weird.
It's been one of the. It's been a week for strange races on Greenlight TV, hasn't it? We had HTRL with a fuel run. We had the Beer League with one of the most scuffed ways to decide a champion. And now VSCA in the final hour, Kristen Sherrard around again down at Andretti Hairpin, trying to get around the Fisher Motorsports car, shoots to the inside.
Oh boy.
Well, he's clear, but carrying too much speed.
And he's the same one that made the mistake through the kink that took out our digital chicane leader, I believe. And that was, again, it was just a little, going down the front straightaway, you can see I don't know if it's nerviness from everybody at this point, because everybody can just feel what's going on, how it's getting crazy, but you could see the dodging and weaving down the straightaway before they even get to the braking zone. It's like, y'all aren't even in the same class car. Why are we not working together a little bit more?
We actually have one of the digital chicane members that's standing by to give us a chit chat here. Looking like we have a little lull to the action, so we'll take a couple minutes just to see if we can get a word in with Ryan Kapraski here. We'll bring him up into the broadcast booth, and I mean, Ryan, I'm sure you have your own thoughts on the goings-on of this race. I know we've had our own opinions of it as well, but kind of walk us through it.
Oh man, I mean, this, as much as we prepare for all of these events, I don't know what we did or what one of us did, but, over the last, 3 races, we have not, as a team, been able to catch one singular breath of, oh, you know what, we might actually, be doing, be on for something good here. I don't know what it is, but yeah, like you guys were saying, the driving standards over the last, between the first hour and a half to now, dropped off almost to 0, I think. All the prototypes are just absolutely just, I genuinely have no words to describe how I'm feeling right now. It's abysmal.
It's a rough day, because I know you guys were doing a good job, as you so often have in quite a few of these races, and you are scoring good points. I mean, you've been up there in the point standings all season long, but when you get these kinds of races like this, how does it impact that mentality, that morale, in terms of the long-term picture?
Oh no, it definitely takes a massive hit, because it's races like this, because if we think back to Long Beach, we both were on for some good results, but then in the end, we essentially had good results taken away from us due to no fault of our own. But the mental impact these kinds of results have on the entire team is definitely devastating, I think. And, to be doing so well, be 1-2 in qualifying, and then be up in the top 5 consistently for the majority of the race, and then just, because of, matters outside of our control, just having, people just getting lazy with their driving, this point in the race is, where you need to, be more focused, than even the race start, because, everybody's going to be feeling the same way. It's like you just want to get the car to the end. But, to have essentially both cars essentially done and out is, quite frustrating. I mean, the 80's still running, but the 93's been done, so.
Ryan, I'm sorry to jump in, Nolan, but could this be, just kind of a product of it being, a sprint race, right? We had the long caution period too, so maybe everybody just was kind of ready to get going. The difference between a sprint race and the big 12, 24-hour races, you got a lot of time to spread the field out and for people to get on different laps in those big 12 to 24-hour races. So whenever you come down to the last hour, there's really only 3 or 4 guys per class typically that would be challenging for a position. So maybe guys are handling it a little bit better. Here today, with it being such a short race and that caution period being so long, we've had everybody from every single class on the lead lap with their race leader, right? With their class leader. So do you think it's just kind of a product of that, making the intensity higher with there being so many cars fighting for, the top couple spots?
Oh no, that absolutely plays a factor, but that at the end of the day, that's not an excuse to lose all your driving respects, and it's no excuse to drive like a complete maniac and just punt cars left and right off, for just because you can, So, but yeah, the sprint race mentality is definitely a huge factor for these shorter races. I mean, even the end of the endurance races to an extent too.
And I guess just one final question then before we let you get going here. Next month, it'll be the Circuit of the Americas. It's another sprint race, 2 hours and 40 minutes, but it's at a much bigger FIA Grade 1 facility track. Do you think we'll be seeing a much different mentality going into Austin?
I'd like to be optimistic about that, but being realistic, I don't think we'll see a mentality change across the field during these sprint races. Because I mean that's just the way that it's going to end up going. Being realistic here.
Well, chin up. I'm sure your day will come eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. You and me both.
As Ryan Kaprowski joined us up here from the Digital Chicane crew, it's been a rough day for them. I mean, they were, again, as they so often have, they've been doing so well. You saw earlier on about Danny Fonte, right when we were talking about prototypes and driving etiquette, right, Austin, about how Danny Fonte ran right into the back of one of the LMP2s at the Monterey hairpin and spun themselves out. You also saw Francisco Santos Pereira going off the circuit. This is the GS Racing Esports machine, and same thing, right? I mean, checked up for a Lamborghini, and I don't think the prototype behind had any knowledge of it.
Yeah, it was a little weird scenario there. We've seen the 42 off the racetrack a couple times tonight, and that was almost a bad rejoin. A little scary there, but again, it's just a little gaggle of cars, just a little loose condition, and that's all it takes.
And that was Danny Fonte that sent that car up again, the same car that just ran over one of the Tri-State LMP2s in the Andretti hairpin just about a lap or two prior. So it's been one of those days, hasn't it?
I mean, that's kind of an understatement at this point. I'm shocked, man. The first 4 races of this league have been, and even the first half of this race was awesome too. But I'm enjoying the back half. But I mean, the chaos has definitely reached a level that I didn't think was possible in the VSCA Sports Car Championship. But again, we were talking about earlier in the race, right? I love tracks that punish people for making mistakes and are very, very difficult. This track is like that. But I guess the downside of that is that if you put 53 of them on the racetrack at the same time with a bunch of different class cars, there's the potential for some sketchy accidents.
I mean, thinking back to the first season, because I saw quite a bit of discussion leading up to this race, right, about how the first time they went here was one of the wildest races they've had. This race has been wild. I know they were hoping that it would be cleaner, though, than last time running as well, which tells me this is not necessarily a new issue at this particular racetrack. It is one of the smallest tracks we go to on the calendar as well, which I think might also might be playing a role in how this could pan out, but who knows, right? I mean, we'll have to see what race control is going to do after the race. All of the penalties, remember, are done post-race, and I feel there's going to be a lot of them in this one.
Oh, my goodness.
I think it is
Nolan.
safe to say there's a huge asterisk over this race.
That's the thing. We're going to be announcing the winners, but I really won't. I don't know if I'll know the winners until midweek. But either way, we almost saw who was going to be our GTM winner, Screeching Moose Motorsports. I know we didn't catch it on the main feed, but I was watching our GTM leader coming through turns 3 and 4, and in between, he just about pinched the 86 LMP2 out to the grass and took himself out. I thought we were restarting the craziness, but I got to give some credit to the 86 LMP. They really, really gave them a lot of room whenever they saw him coming over. So Luca Harmoning, maybe the only guy on the racetrack currently with any form of driving standards. So credit to him.
Well, you got a good battle going on here for 6th and 7th as well. Digital Chicane and Firestorm Motorsport have been doing a pretty good job on keeping it out of each other while letting some of this traffic through. And there goes Quinn Mitchell trying to look to the inside of John Jones. Gonna back out, not going to attempt for a move down into turn 6. I think right now Mitchell is just thinking about survival to the end, right? The last thing they want is to make this race go any more downhill than it was. Right now, 6th place is about the best they can hope for in this race, so they're going to be pushing for that in these final 25 minutes.
Yeah, and things have kind of started calming down the last couple laps as well, as the Firestorm Motorsport is still under pressure. Digital Chicane number 80 trying to get through still. Side by side, doesn't have the preferred groove coming down to the final corner. Credit to the Vice LMP2 there, just staying behind, letting these two guys fight it out for that 6th place spot, and it's going to happen. Number 80 is going to be able to get through Quinn Mitchell up to the P6 position. Gotta still feel bad for him, though. He should be fighting for that lead up there.
It's tough, right? I mean, sometimes these races go this way, right? I mean, you can't have every race be extremely clean, but I can guarantee you still there's going to be a lot of discussion from this field. And I would not be surprised if this field is given a scolding to before next race. Kyle Potter off the track again for MSP, and that car still bearing the battle scars from earlier in this race at the same corner when he knocked out the 80 car from the lead.
Well, let's rephrase that. It wasn't his fault. We've come to the conclusion it wasn't his fault.
Well, that one, he can only blame himself, but good job to keep it out of the wall. Just went in way too hot.
Yeah, it was a little confusing. I'm glad there was nobody in front of him that time, because it definitely would have been his fault. Still trying to get back on the racetrack, but man, there's just not a spot. My goodness, he just can't. And it's a blind look over that hill. You can't really tell. Fine.
Oh,
no! Okay, he's off the racetrack. Holy cow! I thought he spun it back on the racetrack. We were about to get a bunch of people coming through, and we were about to get the biggest accident of the race coming through the corkscrew. Thank God he spun off the racetrack.
That's unfortunate. And John Jones has just dropped it. The driver that was battling with digital chicane for the 6th spot in GTM loops it, coming around the final hairpin.
He's doing a good job keeping out of the way, but he could back up a little bit and get out of there. Ultimately, good job, though. Fair play to him. Not really losing a spot either. Not really under a lot of pressure by anybody on his class. So no harm, no foul for the 29. Does a good job letting everybody by as well. It's just now he's dropped out of the, or he's dropped out from the battle or for P6, excuse me.
It's a lazy spin, too. He didn't even cut the curb. I think
that was a weird one.
Too much momentum. Second, third, and fourth in your LMP2 field are a little tight, particularly third and fourth, separated by 0.4 of a second. GSC Racing Esports trying to see if they can't reel the gap into Rising Panda. They'll send this one deep through turn 6, tracking out a little bit as the gap, half a second in closing. Rising Panda, former race leaders, trying to see if they can't put themselves to the end of this race.
Sorry, I had my mic muted that entire time. Third place battle still in the LMP2 class between Rising Panda and GSE. Oh, it's late on the brakes. Super late on the brakes for GSC. Getting down to the corner, harmoning. That was, I'm telling you, man. I feel like we're just like one more little battle from all the mayhem kicking off again. And, you know, we were getting down to the end of this thing. It's just there's not really too many close battles to maybe force anybody to make those crazy moves. Maybe P2 and P3 in the LMP2 will have some feistiness, but other than that, most of these other battles are relatively spread out.
And Christophe Demain, the HAC Racing Machine, battling with Luca Harmony for overall position. That's P9 overall. He's going to make that look to the left-hand side and get around Luca Harmony. John Jones again going off the road.
That was right in front of Composite Performance, too.
This car could not catch a break. It's, again, a lazy spin. Not even touching the anti-cut. Didn't even really cut the curb at all. Just, again, too much momentum going through.
Just losing traction, just barely. And like you mentioned, lazy spin. Those are weird ones.
You saw the overall race leader just get around. It's been a weird day, hasn't it?
That's a fair point. Oh my goodness, a Porsche just went off the racetrack right in front of Composite Performance. It would have been great if you said it's been a crazy day and then our overall leader just gets absolutely junked. But oh man, every time I see a camera change, I'm getting a little nervous.
I don't blame you at this point. I mean, this race has flown off the rails, but looking like some order has been established. 19 minutes to go in this race. So with us having 19 minutes to go, I do want to make the, not the announcement, but I'm just going to remind once again that this race tonight is brought to you by Twinbush USA, your expert for automotive workshop equipment, located in North Las Vegas, Nevada. Visit them today or find them online at twinbush.com. Twinbush, quality that convinces. Still looking at this fight between Christophe Demain and Luca Harmony, sitting just 0.6 of a second behind. This is for overall P9 on the racetrack, but not anything for in class position? Not right now, at least that I'm seeing. Kind of scanning around, but it doesn't look like we have. Well, there goes the 531 Ferrari off the road, and that will drag Marco Pereira a little bit closer for another overall position. Stefan Jakobsen and Roy Vermeer have both had a problem, and Selena Ward has had a problem as well. Holy cow, it's all kicked off. There's third place.
I told you.
That was Vermeer.
I told you once it happened one more time. Once one more little thing happened, it was all going to kick off.
Selena Ward, same corner. Oh! Whoa! So Jakobsen was slow, and Ward just careened into the back of him coming around. That wasn't even. Okay.
I wouldn't even blame Ward on that. You can't be stopped on the exit of that corner.
I think that car got loose. So this is what happened to Stefan Jakobsen. And let's now ride on board with Selena Ward, who did have to take a tow as a result of this crash. Yeah, that BMW got loose, so you can't even blame BMW.
Oh, but that's can you? That's kind of a bad rejoin. He was off the racetrack and came back.
I don't think they had control though. That's my point. Like I don't think that BMW had a whole lot of control over what they were doing there. And we'll look at it was Marco Pereira. So we'll see what Pereira does here. Back of the Lamborghini. Yeah, he's still trying to wrangle that car. There's not a lot of control they have under where that car goes.
I guess there could be a little bit more leniency with that one. Unfortunately, or unfortunate for Selena Ward. Yeah, no, I mean, with how much has happened at that point, or at this point so far in the last 30 minutes, that was probably the most tame incident we've seen. Oh my goodness, did the 21 just miss the apex, or sorry, did he just miss the access lane? I think he drove out to the dirt going out of pit road. I thought he was going to come across the racetrack and destroy a couple people. See, I'm a pessimist now. I was so optimistic at the first half of this race. And every time, like I mentioned, every time I see a camera change, I'm a little nervous. Every time somebody just barely goes off the road, I'm like, oh no, everybody's about to get absolutely destroyed.
Dang the performance in MSP, fighting it out for that fourth position on the racetrack in your GTM field. This is Mark Romaninski going up against Aaron Beaver, two drivers that we've seen with some good experiences so far on the racetrack, and both sitting as the first cars a lap down. Only 3 remain on the lead lap in your GTM field. Right now, Dang Performance is hanging on, and I think that's because Aaron Beaver's got a lot of lap traffic that's trying to get around him.
Yeah, just potentially holding up a couple drivers. Here's the 84 Fisher Motorsports off the racetrack in the GT Pro. Was the second to last corner right before the pit entry.
Easy.
Having a hard time getting back on.
Yeah, trying to find that line. It doesn't help that he's right on the exit curb, and he'll get in there. Look at that. There's a nice little hole right behind Composite Performance there for him to get in. Yeah, good job. That was Benjamin Fisher that had this off in the final corner, and run over again by an LMP2.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, that was pretty blatant, too.
That was bad, man. Come on. I mean, there's no respect for the poor 84 there. I mean, goodness gracious.
I want to point out that there was, again, discussions about lap traffic, because I usually sit in for the, well, as I say that, Errol Yuriksoy, apologies if I pronounced that wrong, from Ultra Motorsports, having another off, but this one just self-inflicted, coming down the hill and went to the bed, dropped it on the exit. Yep, just bottomed out, but again, I sat in on the pre-race drivers meeting before this race, and there was a lot of discussions going on again about, you know, how to handle lap traffic, and one of the big things was, to the cars that are being lapped, be predictable. That was like the #1 thing, was be predictable for the GT cars. Don't be weaving all over the place trying to slow up to let them through, because it makes you unpredictable, it makes you more of a hazard. At the same time, it's also on the prototypes to find a way around them. You can't just go running people over, especially when they're running a very predictable line like we just saw with Fisher Motorsports.
Yeah, a lot of times, even in single class racing, people are typically too early to jump on the guy from behind causing the incident. Whenever, a lot of times, if it's somebody going slower in front, they've been unpredictable in some way. However, tonight, I feel like most of the incidents have not been from the unpredictability of the driver in front, to what you were just saying. Most of it has just been impatience from a faster class car coming through, junking a slower car. I mean, I'm typically on the other side of that, but today it's just, it has been like that most of the time. It's been a faster class car just showing absolutely no respect for one of the slower guys in front of them. It's weird. I'm literally typically on the other side of this. I'm typically a big hater about slow cars being unpredictable because people typically forget about that portion of the lap car in the way kind of thing. And a lot of people just think if you hit somebody from the back, it's automatically the guy that hit him in the back's fault. It's not. But today, it has been more cases than not.
Nicholas Johnston for Composite Motorsports, still leading the way by 51 seconds right now over Pedro Espadina. And this is not looking to change anytime soon. I think it's safe to say that a safety car, if we do get one, would put us well over the end of this race. So
Yeah, I think we're the end of the thing. So.
Well, and right now Johnson's got he's got well over half a lap on Espadina because lap times for the LMP2 for the GTPs, excuse me, in his best lap of the day is a 1:11, right? So he's not only about 20-30 seconds off the back of Espadina right now, who the second place driver going through turn 6, whereas your race leader is in turn 3. All Johnson's got to do is survive. He is not going to be taking any unnecessary risks.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the problem is, we've seen just big gaggles of race cars pop out of nowhere that the leader has to get through. Currently, you see completely clean track. No issue. I don't see a daggone car on the racetrack in front of him. But with 12 laps remaining, he's going to catch some people. He's going to catch some GT Pros. He's going to catch some GTMs. So, and here's one spun off on the bottom of the corkscrew that our race leader's about to come through. It's just
about the 4th time of the corkscrew.
Like you said, you don't want to take unnecessary risk yourself, but coming to the end of this thing, he very well could just be caught up in a very big stack up of cars, but he does have a 50-second lead. He could probably stay behind a GTM that's in front of him at this point and not have to worry too much. Probably, well, actually, I take that back. He needs to get down to about 7 minutes to go at his current pace, and then once 7 minutes to go passes, he could just sit behind whoever he's behind, and he'd still win the thing.
Can we talk about Vision 1 Motorsports for a moment? Jeremy Carter and the rest of the team here, they started in the top 5 in LMP2. They have very quietly been fighting their way to the point, and with all of the other guys like Gowan Racing having their own problems, right now they sit in the race lead. The problem is they have pitted right now on lap 74. A lot of the other drivers pitted on laps 87 right through the 106. I don't know if they're good to go to the end, but if they are, this would be huge for them to take their win in their debut race.
They pitted on 74?
Yes, lap 74 was when they last
then
entered the pit road.
Let me see. I'm going to go back to their lap time. Vision 1 Motorsports pitted on lap 74. They're on lap 108
right now.
So they are lapping about
right now they're lapping 3 to 4 seconds slower than second on back as well. I want to point out.
Oh well.
So I think they're saving.
Oh, absolutely. And they've ran 35 laps currently, so that is at their pace a little over 40 minutes. That's probably in the 42 and a half minute bracket, 42 and a half to 45 minute bracket since the last time they pitted. I don't know if they can make it 55 minutes in an LMP2. Even if they're saving 3 seconds a lap, that's a tall task.
The only time we've seen it done is under our caution period, and we haven't had one to help them stretch it out. This would be a monumental feat if they managed to get it done. I've never seen a car go 55 minutes in LMP2, though.
And he's got 9.5 more minutes to figure it out. I mean, if the caution comes out, then he can save the rest of the way and he'd win it. So maybe that's what they're going for. But I mean, I don't know. Like you mentioned, they're losing time dramatically over Gowan Racing lap over lap, so they're obviously saving. it's gonna be so close. I just don't see it.
You see some of the lap time comparisons over the last little while between these two drivers. Look at Jack Hedgecock's 1.9 seconds gain to lap 108. You can see on the bottom right as well, really a visualized example of how quickly that gap has been coming down over the last several laps. So this is going to be interesting to see how Jeremy Carter plays his cards here over the next little while, but I don't see them making it to the end. They might try to come in for a splash and go, but if they do that, with how close Hedgecock is, they're going to be losing the lead for sure.
They'd be lucky to hold on to the podium, I think. I mean, it would be Harmoning might even be able to get past him for the third place spot. So I do think if they come in for a splash and go, they're looking at third best, probably fourth worst, which is still not bad, right? Your French podium, that'd be a great race here for Vision 1 Motorsports, but I mean, winning sounds a whole heck of a lot better.
Quinn Mitchell making the pass for 5th as Digital Chicane on their recovery drive has just gotten back to the number 5 spot. That came up and in towards the corkscrew. Dangler performance was slow to let one of the LMP2s through, and Mitchell pounced on the opportunity.
Yeah, Mitchell trying to do absolutely everything he can to, right the wrong that happened to him just a handful of minutes ago, about half an hour. Doing a good job, at least keeping his head in the game, right? I mean, it's so hard to get taken out of the race lead and want to get back behind the wheel of the race car and finish the thing out. But, he had to. He didn't have his 40-minute drive time. He had to get back out there to at least salvage some points and keep them in the championship hunt in some case. It's unfortunate for them they're not going to be able to end the Screeching Moose Motorsports winning streak.
Andy Banfield overshooting the corkscrew, kind of bouncing across the track and off onto the driver's right as a few more cars continuing their own little backslides as Morton Kofoid still fighting with Luca Hartman.
He's pitting. He's pitting.
There he is. Couldn't make it. I didn't think he could. That'd be a huge stretch. So Gowan Racing, Jack Hedgecox will retake the race lead. This is only going to be a splash and go for Vision 1 Motorsports. And oh boy, that's a bit tight as Gowan can't find a way through. And now closing up on KC Racing, and we'll see where Carter will exit. This will be one of the last scheduled pit stops on the afternoon. They'll lose first. Remy Loesch coming off the final corner. Can they get out before they lose second? I don't think they will. They will not. Loesch through for third. They will get out, though, before Luca Harmony can make that pounce and punt them off the podium.
Yeah, with them not having to take too much gas, I guess I over... Oh, but he's off the racetrack! Oh, my goodness, he saved it. Thank goodness. He was off the racetrack on the access road. I thought...
that, man.
hey, look, man, he drove off the access road on the racetrack. I mean, like, he got into the dirt. I thought he was spinning it. He got sideways just a little bit. I may have overreacted a little bit, but he was all four wheels off the racetrack coming through the access road. So I thought he was lazy spinning it down to the inside, would have lost third.
That's just a little offy. That's fine.
I know. Look, I overreacted. It happens.
6 minutes to go. Roughly 5 laps or less on the docket as no current battles within a second in the individual classes on the racetrack. Aaron Beaver having another off. And for Beaver, it has not been the day for MSP either, as they were alongside Bravo Shatton, and a bit of neck contact there for that one. But what do you think? You think they would have gotten into each other regardless?
Oh, man!
That, I'm going to hold my tongue, but yikes. That's all I have to say to that is yikes. Nothing Donald could do there. Nothing at all. That is a shame.
You see, that's as much as the race kind of devolved in the last 45 minutes. The one thing was I hadn't really been able to firmly say we've seen a bad rejoin tonight. I almost said it earlier, but I retracted it. That was a bad rejoin. So we can add that to the list. So if you've got bad rejoin on your bingo card, mark it off. Bingo, you've won.
Well, time continues to tick away. Less than 5 minutes to go. And,
with a little bit of a guest star appearance.
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure my pizza just arrived.
Oh, wow. You scheduled pizza delivery for 5 minutes before the race ended?
Look, I didn't think it would get here this quickly.
Okay.
Usually they're not this quick about it, so I'll give the delivery driver props for that one. But yeah, 4 minutes to go now as we continue to duke it out. This race, it's kicked off all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit of craziness here at the end, but after I feel like it's mellow now, right? The last 4 minutes, I don't think we're going to see anything crazy. I think we've kind of gotten to the end of all the nastiness, all the craziness. I mean, you're looking at Johnston. He's got a minute lead over Peckley. Bernie right behind, 3 seconds behind. So really not any tough racing for position. Hedgecox with a very easy 8-second lead over Loesch, and another 7-second gap to Carter. And then even in the GT classes, really not too much going on between the two of them. So not really too many battles that we really have to worry about coming down to the end of this thing. I think our race winners are relatively summed up, barring any post-race penalties. So I think that we're going to see Screeching Moose Motorsports down in the GCM category pick up their 5th straight win. Obviously, a little bit of assistance, I should say, from an LMP2 about half an hour ago. But
a win's a win.
At the end of the day, yeah, five wins for the number 5 in 5 races. Sounds good.
All the 5s for Screeching Moose Motorsports. This is going to feel good for them, right? To be able to take that 5th win in a row. But I'm curious to talk about for this race to see how this is all going to go. And I'm willing to bet I just curse them as well. And they probably will not win the race now for this one. But, battle continues on. Second place starter goes in a bit more for GTP as Gabriel Peckley from Bravo Snow Shatton. Could Bravo Snow Shatton get their first podium of the season? They have had a absolutely horrid time in these first several races. They've crashed out of the first 3 points races on the season. Getting a podium in their 4th would be a huge comeback story for them.
It'd be a huge confidence boost, but I'm a little nervy for them because Bernie's catching them. Now, I won't bump him off the podium, but I'd be willing to bet Peckley's going to be fighting for the 2nd place spot. 2nd place is always feeling better than 3rd, even if they're both on the same podium. So I got to imagine if Bernie can get up to the back bumper of the 50 here, I think we're going to see a good little scrap over the last couple laps.
Oh, I'm willing to bet we will too. This is going to be absolutely insane to see how this race is going to pan out. And there's not a lot of time left either, right? We're looking at, I think, about 2 laps to go with the line here for Nicholas Johnston.
And we just saw the 2nd and 3rd place GTPs come out of the same corner 10 seconds ago. So that's just how good the 15 has been throughout the race this evening. Has been able to stay out of most of the cartage and allowed himself to, just stretch out that gap ever so, marginally, lap over lap. Just doing really, really good job. That entire composite performance crew. A little bit further up the road, though, the 2nd place driver, the Bravo Snow Shat number 50, got held up through turn number 5. Sorry, turn number 4, and now through 5, and now into the fast left-hander of 6. Bernie, he's firmly within the slipstream, coming down to the corkscrew.
Half a second and still closing. They will have 2 laps at the line to get this battle sorted because of how far back they are in comparison to Nicholas Johnston. We are under a minute to go. Final lap for your race leader coming on up, but these guys a minute behind your race leader, so they will take the 2 to go signal this time. The battle for the final, for the 2 podium positions at GTP is on as they work through the final corner.
Yeah, we're really going to be able to see just how close Johnston is behind these guys as they take the start-finish line here. Johnston is coming into the final corner, so very, very tight. Johnston getting ready to take the white flag to make it one more time around for the race leader. Still 2 times around for this battle for 2nd.
2 times around in the battle for the number 2 spot as right now, can Peckley hang on against Kyle Burney? Your race leader will take the final lap and will officially the one to go signal. There's the move! Bravo's new Shatton under fire. MSP and Kyle Burney trying to make the run for 2nd.
Not quite able to do it there, Bernie, but he's kind of going for the undercut. Coming out of turn number 5, going down towards 6. The 50 just fades down to the inside. Bernie has to back out, and now the 50 gets caught up behind a slower car coming out of turn number 6. That puts him side by side, coming down to the corkscrew for 2nd, and down into the braking zone, still side by side. The 50 gets spun right round.
Look out as one of the Ferraris goes off piste. That was Roy Vermeer going off and into the grass. He's going to get himself back on, and Bravo Snow Shadow wants to get back onto the track, but now they are at risk of losing the podium.
Unbelievable, he could lose the podium if it happens again. DS Racing is right there. Terrible, terrible mistake for Peckley. Oh, but Bernie's down pit road. What has happened to the 3?
He couldn't make it to the end, I don't think.
What in the world? So that was a battle for 2nd. That wasn't really a battle for 2nd. That has now created another battle for 2nd between Peckley and Espadina. What in the world is going on? And as that happens, the composite performance number 15 has come through to win the race.
Great job for Nicholas Johnson. They take the win for Sean Hatfield and Screeching Moose Motorsports. It's 5 in a row for the number 5 Mercedes. Leaving yet this battle for the number 2 spot to be decided, but Bravo Shat is starting to build up that gap. All the while, looking like it'll be North Sim Racing will take home the W for GT Pro by 10 seconds over Daniel Gruber and Fisher Motorsports. Thomas D'Ambrosio will pull off to the right, to the left, excuse me. They win in LMP2, and Gruber loops it in the penultimate corner.
Doesn't look like he's going to lose any spots, I don't believe. Gonna have to go back just to. Oh, well, actually, the 44's coming down pit road on the final lap. I think he is gonna lose a couple spots.
Oh boy. Or he had a
He's gonna lose at least one.
So we'll see. Meanwhile, Gowan Racing back to victory lane. It's their third win of the season as Jack Hedgecox will take that number 18 car into victory lane. Good show for them.
World of Sim Racing team passed Gruber like 100 feet before the start-finish line as Gruber was puttering down pit road.
And how about that for Bravo Snow Shatton, able to come home and take their first podium on the season after so much trials and tribulations. Such a huge story for the Acura. We've had a few incidents in those final 2 laps. This is Francisco Pereira spinning off at turn 6. And he had to kind of fight to get himself back righted throughout all of that. John Goodwin had his own problems. As he just had a little bit of a loop down at turn 4. Gabriel Peckley had an off, and this is what we saw coming up and over the rise in that battle with MSP before MSP came down to pit road. Just locked the rears, and around it goes, and that sent Roy Vermeer off and into the grass. And then last but not least, Daniel Gruber with this little spin for Fisher Motorsports that costed them a number 2 positions. They had to come down to pit road. Scowers Racing looked like had a hand to play in that.
I don't know if those LMP2s were battling for position. If not, I'd feel really.
They were.
And then what? Why? Whatever. I feel bad for Fisher Motorsports. Then it cost them second place.
Well, what a race it was. I mean, that was, I think, something is the best way to put that one. But at the end of the night, we'll take a rundown of the official post-race results, and we'll be, of course, kicking it off first and foremost with your GTP, as it is Composite Performance back to victory lane. Bravo Snow Shatton with their first podium after DNFing out of the first 3 points races. This is big for them. GS Racing Esports team will be in 3rd, with MSP in 4th, 1 lap down. GS Racing Esports team in 5th, HAC in 6th, Stop and Go 7th, World of Sim Racing in 8th, Grism Motorsports 9th, Trading Paints Racing 10th, Fisher Motorsports and Team Hardcore round out 11th and 12th.
Next up, we're going to jump into our LMP2 race results. Gowan Racing ends up on the top step of the podium with Rising Panda Racing in 2nd and Vision 1 Motorsports in 3rd. GSC Racing Esports with the 4th place finish. Texas Speed Sim Racing in 5th. Tri-State Racing 6th. VRG Sport in 7th. And Scowers S's Racing in 8th. 9th place is Tri-State Racing with Fisher Motorsport, FRS Sim Sport, and Vice Motorsport rounding out the 12-car LMP2 field.
GT Pro will hold none other than Thomas D'Ambrosio for North Sim Racing, along with World of Sim Racing team. Fisher Motorsports rounds out the lead lap cars. Portrait Racing, RPM Racing, Race Tech Competition, Fisher Motorsports, GSC Racing Esports, Kinetic Racing, and Race for Cat Motorsport round out the top 10, with DS Racing Esports team and Texas Speed Sim Racing bringing up the rear.
Next, our 17-car GTAM field. Screeching Moose Motorsports, 5 in a row for the number 5. What a start to the season for those guys. Off in the S's Racing, finishing in 2nd, and Yellow Submarine Squad in 3rd. Digital Chicane, number 80. Hard Done in 4th. Dangler Performance, number 16 in 5th. Firestone Motorsports in 6th. Vulture Motorsports, 7th. Mayor Sim Speed Performance, 8th. Full Sit Racing, 9th, and DS Racing Esports team in 10th. Real Pixel Motorsport team finishes in 11th with Mayor Sim Speed Performance in 12th. Trading Paints Racing in 13th. KC Racing in 14th. Vulture Motorsports in 15th. And Digital Chicane all the way back in 16th. I don't know how the heck the 93 finished that far back, but the MMTQ Racing at number 161 finishes in the 17th place position.
Well, the DNF crew member from the race, that would be...
Sorry, I got 2 Digital Chicanes mixed up in my mind for whatever reason. The Digital Chicane 80 was the unfortunate one that got taken out from the race lead. My mistake.
Well, it was a wild night overall, and we'll get the chance now to, of course, talk to all of the drivers here at the end of what ended up being a very wild night, I think, of racing. And we'll be looking to get in touch first and foremost with the driver of Nicholas Johnston, who will come home as the overall race winners tonight. And, well, Nick, what a wild ride, and this has got to be big to put that composite performance car back into victory lane.
Yeah, thank you. It's really good to finally pull a result out. We've ran really good in all the races so far this season. Just had one issue or another, and Sebring we got really close, and I goofed it up. And thankfully, today we weren't the ones goofing it up, so come down on top.
kind of walk us through this race as a whole, because it was it ended up being quite a wild race overall, and I know lap traffic was one of the biggest stories of the night.
Oh, I think in my entire last stint there, I didn't have one clean lap where I wasn't passing some sort of traffic. It was crazy. I came out of the pits just behind the 4 car, and I knew he was on cold tires, so I was pushing to get him, and he went off. And I was able to get by. Then I was trying to hold in front of him, and he pulled a pretty good move, gave me a little hip check into 10, but he made it by all right. And then chaos off into 1, and from there on out, it was just kind of keeping my nose clean and managing the gap to second. We had a certain number that we wanted to be at, and we hit that at the end, so that was good.
5 of the championship coming on up at Circuit of the Americas for the Lone Star Grand Prix, and it's Circuit of the Americas, right? It's one of the only FIA Grade 1 facilities we have on the calendar for us here this season. It's going to be a much bigger track with a lot more of a field spread, though. How do you think the racing actually will change in their next sprint race?
I think a combination of the track being longer and much wider will definitely help everyone kind of facilitate passes, and the traffic probably won't be as big of a deal. The stadium section is still going to be very tight because there's a lot of left and rights to where getting by or letting people by is going to be difficult. But I think we'll have good pace there. We've had good pace all season, so as long as we can continue that into the next race, I don't see any reason why we can't be competing for the win.
Well, we'll see you then when we go racing next month on May 11th. But for now, congratulations on taking a very hard-fought race win tonight, and we'll see you in May.
Thank you very much. Real quick, just like to thank Composite Performance for putting this car on the track and allowing me and Pat to wheel it around. It's been great so far running these guys this season, and just really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Nicholas Johnson out of Lincolnton, North Carolina, joining us up here in Victory Lane. We'll take a rundown to Gowan Racing, where Josh Gowan and Jack Hedgecox are both standing by with Austin Edstrom as the LMP2 winners.
My goodness, guys, congratulations on the LMP2 win. I mean, I just really want to know how the heck y'all got through all of the craziness in the last hour whenever it seemed like just about everybody else couldn't. I mean, it was just, like I said, the last hour was honestly the most mental form of racing I think I've seen from sports cars so far. So just how did you get through it?
Yeah, I would say you're not wrong. It was absolutely hectic. I just made sure to get my runs right. I mean, I don't know how it was with the other field. I mean, it seemed like I was getting pace on them throughout the whole race. Through the traffic, I felt like we're all pretty close, but I mean, it's just getting the runs timing the runs through the exit, especially with the GT3s, because I would say it got real close. I think there was multiple times where there was six cars going through one corner. It was absolutely crazy, but I'm just glad I made it out of there, to be honest.
So whenever y'all come into a racetrack like Laguna Seca, very, very short, very thin or skinny, right? There's not a lot of racing room. Do you come in here knowing that you've got to be a little bit more minding your P's and Q's, minding your own business, and just trying to make sure you keep all 4 fenders on that thing? Or is it very difficult to get suckered into the mindset of, hey, this is a sprint race, we need to go lap after lap? Like, how do you determine what type of style you need to race in these type of short races at a track such as Laguna Seca?
I think it depends on where you're at in the at the time of the race. So for sure, at the start for that first hour, you're just trying to survive. Like you said, just make sure your car's in one piece. Don't get too many off tracks. But at a certain point, once it finally clears up, you go into personally, I just went into a different mode of just not get the lap time, but just try and be as efficient as possible with traffic and just try and close that gap, especially where we were at that point of the race. Just definitely had to flip a switch and start pushing for sure.
Yeah, like you mentioned, y'all kept pushing, especially the last half of that race after all the pit stops, after the caution period. I remember hearing that the GT AIM and the GT Pro fields got flipped, and that it was actually causing issues for every single class in terms of maybe the racecraft getting through, like maybe it just threw things for a loop. Did you kind of feel that from the driver's seat as well, that messed up the LMP2s as well, or was that more separated to just the GTs?
I mean, in terms of flips, like the classing, or
Apparently, under
because
caution, the GTM somehow got flipped in front of the GT Pro. I was
oh,
hearing in the YouTube chat that
I mean,
it was affecting the entire race from everybody.
yeah, I mean, it definitely was because especially the faster class of those GTs having to get through that traffic, it just bunches them all up. So when when we all come around, it's like a roadblock. It was really hectic. That's how I made up all those spots in that after that caution was just getting through that traffic when the rest of my field in front um, got checked up and I just somehow shot through there. So um, I would say it definitely like you said, whoever was in the chat, they're not wrong. It was caused issues throughout the whole field, especially with trying to lap those cars with everyone just trying to lap the one class at that point.
It also made it interesting for us getting to the lead because at one point we were, I think, in third and stuck behind, other cars in our class. So we made the decision to pit early, and then it put Jack in clean air and was able to just make up massive amounts of time as everyone else in our class was kind of stuck going through that big slug of GT3 cars mixed between the pros and the pro-am. So yeah, it definitely made it interesting, and it shows that even on tracks like this where you're hyper focused on keeping the car clean and navigating each other class really well, how strategy and trying to find clean air for your driver can be such a critical part of the race.
Yeah, that definitely threw the strategy for a loop. But I mean, y'all had the right one at the end of the day and ended up bringing it home P1, even with the craziness that happened over the last hour of this race. So big congratulations, just keeping your nose clean to put it onto the top step of the podium. And then of course for winning the race. Are there any shout outs you can give here at the end of it?
Yeah, just to the rest of the Go On Racing squad. Everyone's watching. Thanks for the support. It's a close-knit group of guys, and we're just looking forward to the rest of the season in the competition here. It's a really great class in the LMP2, and excited for more.
All right. Well, congratulations once again to both of you guys for bringing it home today from Laguna Seca. Cannot wait to see what you guys can do next month whenever we go racing again here in the VSCA Sports Car Championship.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, congratulations once again to the Go On Racing guys. And now, Nolan Rempel is going to be standing by with, I believe, our GT-AM winners.
We sure will. Lucas Santos and Sean Hatfield will join us up here in the broadcast booth tonight after what was, again, a very wild race for you guys, but 5 wins in a row now. I know one of them came from default as a result of post-race penalties, but I mean, 5 in a row, it's got to be big for you guys and your team.
Yeah. Yeah, that's on you, man. You've been with these guys longer, so.
Yeah, sure, I'll take this one. This entire team, including now with Sean, who's been with us for now 2 races, it's been incredible. The amount of work that everybody puts into this, whether that be, sometimes I may be at university, sometimes we may have our own lives. The fact that we still put in work for these kinds of results, even if it's supposed to be a hobby, even though we're here for just, fun, we're here competitively, we're putting in the work, and we're getting the results that we want. It's genuinely amazing. Everyone from the team, even those who aren't here, so Mac and David, who are giving us spotter and crew chief items, Sean and I as drivers, Anthony, Philip, Taylor, everybody who's involved with this team has made every single one of these wins happen, even though they aren't part, like, physically or at the race. So it's just a combination of everything. It's awesome.
I mean, kind of walk us through the race as a whole tonight, because I think this has got to be one of the most attrition-filled races we've seen in a while. Nobody was safe from trouble tonight, and I mean, I know you guys had your fair share of your close calls throughout the evening. So I guess since Lucas, you started this race, we'll start with you, and then we'll get Sean's take on this too. But kind of walk us through the trials and tribulations to get that car in a victory lane tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you to Sean for keeping my head straight throughout my first few stints. It was just a lot of knowing that the main role is to just get the car towards the end. That's been our mission since day 1, almost day 0, since we started the VSCA, is make sure the car gets to the end and we'll get the points that we get and results as a result of that result. So just making sure that, the traffic, even though the prototypes, oh my goodness, we had to deal with them. And it's part of the crew chiefs and Sean that helped me out a lot with keeping my head calm, making sure that we're battling the attrition and we're keeping sure that we're making this car safe. So every lap was just tick off the mark. All right, now it's time to pass it on to Sean. And if you would like to take it away, Sean, what would you experience?
Madness. pure unadulterated madness. And third year doing this, yes, that's just the norm here at Laguna Seca. You have to be prepared to just deal with it. You have to embrace it. And part of that is sometimes being on the aggressor side, sometimes being on the let off side. It's a delicate balancing act at this place. And if you can do it, you'll finish at the point of the end of the field, no matter what. So I do have to give a shout out to the guys at VSCA about what happened earlier with the field kind of getting flipped up. They addressed it, they handled it, and I'm sure in their debriefs they're going to be looking at a great many things to get things taken care of and straightened out so it doesn't happen again. So shout outs to those guys for handling this and for just maintaining the chaos as it would be.
Well, we look forward now to the Lone Star Grand Prix. It's a much bigger track. But it's another sprint race, same length as well, 2 hours and 40 minutes in distance on the clock. Will we be seeing the Santos Hatfield duo returning for Texas?
That's classified information.
Well, if we do, then great. If not, then we'll see who will be hopping into the booth, and we'll see if you can make it 6 for 6. I mean, 5 for 5. It is legendary in a field that has been this competitive. I know a slight asterisk over one of them, but hey, a win's a win. So regardless, you leave this race with the points lead, and you'll no doubt rack up a whole lot more points entering race number 5 here on the championship. But thank you both for taking the time to join us up here. We'll let you get back to celebrating.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, guys.
Sean Hatfield and Lucas Santos both joining us up here in the broadcast booth for the end of the night. But my goodness, I mean, what a wild race. And well, Austin did have to take off just a little bit early. He had some other matters that he had to attend to real quick. So of course we are gonna let him go and get on out of here. But holy cow! I mean, what a absolutely insane race that we had here this evening. And don't forget, it's not the only race we've got today either. Just about 5 hours from now, we'll be rolling on down to the New Hampshire Motor Speedway for the Lobster State 150 on the Magic Mile for the TNGG IL Truck Series. And of course, you got all of our other regular programs like the SRL Next Gen Cup Series kicking off on Sunday evening as well. They'll be racing at Phoenix. And then the action track will make its return to Green Flight TV with the High Tide Racing League MF Racing Designs Cup Series hitting up Richmond over down in Virginia on Monday night. Don't forget to check us out and give us a like and a subscribe if you like the show that you saw today. And, of course, if you want to find out more about who we are and what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. Meanwhile, for myself, Bill Remple, alongside Austin Edstrom, it's been a wild one, and we'll see what will come out of this race going into the future. We'll catch up on all the goings-on. Thank you for joining us for the Course to Monterey in the VSCA Sports Car Championship. We'll see you next month when we go racing for the Lone Star Grand Prix, or if we'll see you sooner, then we'll see you later tonight at the Magic Mile.